6 on YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
What is up, Sacramento? Welcome into Stiles and Watkins. You just heard Alan Stiles wrap up his week, filling in for Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross. And last time you heard my voice, we were screaming, we were shouting for Team USA's big win over Serbia. If you didn't hear yesterday's show, it was an exciting one as Brendan Nunez joined us remotely for most of the week. You had Ben Ross come in studio on Tuesday and join me. That was a good time. But Brendan is here in person after quite the night he had, as travel tends to be a bit unexpected. Brendan had himself quite a night. Brendan, I'm glad you can join me face to face today, man.
Yeah, I'm glad I made it. This is why you don't fly Spirit Airlines. I may have left that out earlier. Apparently, I had a layover. I was coming back from Southern California, some family down there. My little brother's last week before he goes off to ASU. So spending some time there. I had a layover in Vegas on the way back.
Good place to have a layover.
If you potentially, yeah. And then initial flight gets delayed for a little while. And then so I ended up even kind of missing live the end of that great USA game. And then I just have to read a bunch of stories about how it's one of the greatest games that people have ever watched.
It was awesome.
Which obviously I've seen now, but not the same as experiencing in the moment. But get to Vegas and come to find out my next flight is canceled. I'm like, okay, well, not exactly sure where to go about this from here, and have some interesting conversations with the people that work at Spirit and essentially tell me that I guess there were weather issues on the Sacramento end.
It was a little windy yesterday. It was
I guess.
A little bit.
And so I cannot find any flights.
Spirit flights.
Yeah, they said that it's an uncontrollable, so there was no helping with a room or anything like that, and ended up having to pocket up a little bit for some Southwest flight.
There we go.
Later in the night,
should have done this.
Which, is always, if you're getting told that flights aren't happening because there seem to be safety concerns, and then I'm going to be on the first one back out there after that, a little questionable.
Somebody's got to guinea pig it.
We made it,
Glad you did. Yeah, it was a little touch and go for a second there, but Brenda did make it into studio today, and we are very, very happy to have him in studio. And maybe it was just, sometimes I swear, Brendan, and I'm sure it's happened to you in the past, but there's been times where you'll be rooting for your team or just a team in general. Maybe you have no rooting interest at all. And then, as it gets closer to the event, you pick a side and you watch the event and it doesn't go your way. And then the second you stop watching, things all of a sudden start to go your way. So we should actually thank you for your service, Brendan. Appreciate you not watching Team USA, because clearly as you were watching, things weren't going the right way. You disrespected Serbia yesterday, the entirety of the country, and said that they did not stand a chance. They heard you all the way out there in Paris, France. And thankfully, in the fourth quarter, they decided to start playing some defense and eventually did get that win. It was, like you said, it was probably one of the most exciting games that I can remember seeing when you put all the stakes and all the players that were involved and everything like that. We have quite a loaded show today. We are going to talk a little bit more about Team USA and that thrilling victory over Serbia in a little bit. We're also going to talk about the Jayson Tatum controversy. Is it overblown? Is it correct? I think I'm very intrigued to hear what Brendan has to say. Again, former Celtics fan Brendan. It was
always make sure to throw that one in there.
It was a long time ago, but it also adds context. It lets them know that you're not just some outside perspective. You have some connection with Jayson Tatum, and I think I'm really excited to hear if you think that it's overblown, if Steve Kerr is justified in not playing Jayson Tatum in the second game of this Olympics. He has received a DNPCD. We'll talk about that in about 10 minutes or so, a little bit less than that. We also have Anthony Slater, writer for The Athletic, definitely tends to focus Warrior-centric, but also is at tons of Kings games as well, so he has good Kings insight as well. We're going to ask him about obviously the Warriors and where they move now that Lauri Markkanen is off the table. Are they too sold on one Brandon Podziemski, and what happens with Jonathan Kuminga, as reports surfaced this morning that Jonathan Kuminga will seek a $228 million max extension. Is that the right move for Golden State? And is Jonathan Kuminga actually worth it? I think those are two completely different questions. We will get to the bottom of that. What's going on with Rudy Gobert? Like we talked about yesterday, he was benched and has been benched these past 2 games for France, and it has worked out well for them. Rudy Gobert says one thing, then after the game, the French head coach comes out and says a complete other thing. Who do we believe and who has the reasons to lie? We get into that. NBA releases its Christmas Day games. We compare it to the NFL's slate that same day, and we ask if NBA on Christmas is officially cooked. Steph Curry was ready to meet the moment yesterday. We hear a little bit from him and his historic performance. Brandon Aiyuk, I'm just glad that we went, 8 minutes into the show, and we have not said the name Brandon Aiyuk yet. We will talk about him a little bit later because we have started the show with Brandon Aiyuk updates, and we have not gotten any actual movement on Brandon Aiyuk, so we're going to push that a little bit later in the show.
8 minutes probably a record this week.
I think it is. I no joke, I actually think that this is a bona fide record. As it is Olympic season, we are setting world records on this show for longest time went to start a show without mentioning Brandon Aiyuk. Very proud to be holding that record. We're going to get into what teams are actually what Brandon Aiyuk wants. He seems to want something very, very specific. He wants a quarterback. He wants a team that can pay him. But at the same time, the Niners it has to make sense for the Niners as well. I go through a list of teams that I think fit that category. It's not a very long list, and not a lot of the teams are currently in on Aiyuk. So we talk about how small the list of teams that Aiyuk actually would want to play for is. George Kittle has some quotes on the Aiyuk stuff as well. That'll be interesting. And then we get into something very, very fun later in today. The Athletic had a all under 21 draft and of NBA players, and me and Brendan are going to go through that and give a couple rounds of our favorite under 21 NBA stars and who we think will shine in their NBA careers a few years down the line. Also, we have some Kings rumors. You get some updates on Cam Johnson and where things stand with that, where things are currently standing with the Kings and Kyle Kuzma. Our guy Brett Siegel of Clutch Points had an update in an article that was released yesterday detailing where the Kings stand on both of those two. And then we're going to wrap up the show with some shout outs and closeouts. And we're going to give you an update on yesterday's rookie report. A couple big name rookies played in yesterday's preseason games. We're also going to preview the slate of preseason football coming up this weekend, including for your San Francisco 49ers and for some of your Las Vegas Raiders as well. But let's get back into Team USA. And LeBron James had himself a triple-double, only the second triple-double in U.S. Olympic history. The other one, guess what? It was from LeBron James, also in 2012. That dude is something else. He clearly has been the Magic Johnson, I guess, of this iteration of Team USA, setting people up, really just doing it all. He's the first ever member of Team USA to have 300 points, 125 assists, and 125 rebounds in their Team USA career. I believe that is across all competitions. So shout out LeBron, who just continues to set records that I don't think anybody even knew were a thing. Brendan, just in general yesterday, I know you said you didn't get to see the end of it, but I know you've since seen the highlights and you were keeping up with it as we were watching on the show, or as it was happening when we were doing the show. Do you feel like it's right to say that that's one of the best and most exciting games that we've seen just period in the past at least 5 years or so?
Yeah.
I mean, like I think in a post, LeBron blocks Iguodala, it really doesn't get much more exciting than that.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind is maybe Kawhi's shot heard around the world. It bounced on the rim forever. And Steph had a shot, maybe not quite as similar, but bounced around the rim a few times, a big one to give them a lead late there. Watching those two guys that really have like a kind of all-time rivalry between them when you look at how many times, LeBron and Steph, with how many times Golden State and Cleveland have played each other in the postseason. Now, obviously, being in the same division with LeBron being on the Lakers, Steve Kerr's role in all of this as well. Watching them play together and this was one of those first times where it was like, okay, they're really complimenting each other. And sometimes I think Steph was kind of just going through the motions a little bit out there, or just not forcing things, but they really needed him yesterday. And I thought LeBron setting him up was awesome to watch. It's not very often that you're going to get to see two guys of those caliber get to play elite basketball together and share a moment like that after the game. Bron throws the ball up and goes and tracks Steph down to give him some props. So cool moment for sure, and one that I think we'll remember for a long time.
Definitely. I mean, that photo is going to live in infamy forever. It is an amazing photograph of LeBron James and Steph Curry literally head to head, screaming in each other's faces. And you know, it almost looked like they were going to have and share a nice little romantic moment between the two.
That might be you and Alan when you reunite next week. You know, Alan's going to come up to you just like that
immediately after the show, and then Nate's going to come in like KD and just dap us up. And
I'll get a picture. It'll be great.
Give
beautiful moment.
Give Alan a massive hug. I can't wait. It's gonna be wonderful. And that moment was really, really cool. Like you said, I mean, just to see some of those are three of the best players that we have in this generation: Steph Curry, LeBron James, and KD. And I think it's awesome that in a game where they really, really, really needed those three specifically to step up, those were the catalyst to the win. I mean, Joel Embiid definitely had some nice moments down the stretch, but without KD, without LeBron, without Steph, I mean, those guys don't make that comeback. And it was just a really, really great game and a great legacy moment for all three of those guys. And definitely something that I think a lot of people, like you said, just aren't going to forget that moment. Coming up next, Jayson Tatum is probably going to try and forget the moments from yesterday. He's had about as drama full of an Olympic run as I could ever remember, but has the drama been overblown, or is it justified that Jayson Tatum has received 2 DNP CDs? Me and Brandon get into that next, right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Kevin Herter plays here.
It's Herter. He's been hot. He fires. He's still hot. Kevin Herter from downtown has a 15-point first quarter.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Jayson Tatum won't be wiping down any sweat off of his nice, comfortable seat on the bench, because he DNP CD'd yesterday. I believe, let me check the box score. I'm pretty sure, I hope he's the only person who did receive that DNP CD, because if not, again, I have questions as to why everyone is so upset about one thing and not about somebody else as well. But let me double check that before I go in on him.
I believe that you're right about that.
It doesn't look like Tyrese played either. So yet again, I asked the question, why is everybody so upset about Jayson Tatum not playing and Tyrese Halliburton can just sit and nobody bats an eye? Brendan, I mean, I'm kind of half joking, but Jayson Tatum has received 2 DNP CDs, both of which I have not seen anybody make this connection. Both of them have been against Serbia.
Yep.
Maybe it's just as simple as something about that matchup they don't like with Jayson Tatum, or they just really like some other mismatch that they feel like they have somewhere else as well. again, received 2 DNP CDs against Serbia, one in the group stage and one yesterday. Jayson Tatum, this is a report from Chris Haynes. I have not seen it written anywhere. I don't know if he said it, but it has been circulating. And Bleacher Report, who is the company, the parent company in which, I guess not the parent company, TNT is the parent company, but Bleacher Report under TNT, which is where Chris Haynes works, is reporting and running with it. So I'm going to take it as a fact. Chris Haynes is reporting that Jayson Tatum walked off the floor into the locker room and that Tatum was quote unquote furious at head coach Steve Kerr over lack of playing time. For what it's worth, Steve Kerr after the game, if you will all remember, after the first time Jayson Tatum got the DNP CD, I believe the direct quote was Steve Kerr said he felt like an idiot. Yesterday after the game, Steve Kerr explained that Jayson Tatum's benching is just a result of a quote-unquote math problem. He said, it's not about anything Jayson is doing or not doing. It's just about combinations in the way that the group has played together, the way Kevin has filled in since he came back from his injury. It's just a math problem more than anything else. To me, Brendan, it really is as simple as that. I think that this is just, hey, look, this team is freaking stacked from head to toe. This team, you can argue it's going to have 12 Hall of Famers. Regardless, there's a ton of talent on this team. To me, it becomes, who are we not playing? Who are we not playing to give Jayson Tatum time? Because LeBron James, he's not sitting down. Kevin Durant isn't sitting down. Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo only played 10 minutes each. Maybe you could say Bam, but Bam, of course, is playing center, probably getting some minutes up against Nikola Jokic. I mean, to me, it's really as simple as that you're not going to sit. Devin Booker is a spot-up shooter for this team. Maybe you can say that you think Jayson Tatum, Anthony Edwards, he came off the bench, played 13 minutes. He didn't have a great game, but again, I think that could be a mismatch thing as well. Maybe I'm not as high on Jayson Tatum as everybody else, but I also thought that was kind of the line on Jayson Tatum, as a lot of people had questions about, okay, what level of star is this guy? What do you read into this Jayson Tatum situation? Is it being overblown?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it happening a second time after Kerr said he feels like an idiot doing it the first time, that's a head scratcher. So I'm like, how you feeling right now? Yeah. And we're playing basketball. We're not out here doing timetables. I understand the math problem and what he's saying there, but I do also get the standpoint of this guy was just on the best team in basketball. It wasn't even really close. Sure. And he was probably their best player. Or if you want to ask Jason Kidd, it was Jaylen Brown. And obviously he ended up walking away with some of those well-deserved awards and also not on the team. But I don't know. Like, I get both sides. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think it should be that big of a deal. Yeah. I think there's a lot of seniority that goes on in these things. Absolutely. Because you only get it every 4 years. A lot of the guys that you mentioned, there's a chance that this is their last one. Yeah. And so I think that Tatum will get his chance, but it stands out that he's having a reaction the way that he seems to be. Right. I think his mom is interacting with things on social media.
She tweeted for the first time since 2022.
Wild. So clearly unhappy. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a great relationship with his mom by all accounts. Wonder how Deuce feels about all this that's going on.
Great.
Probably not big, because Big Deuce is just sitting there and not playing, man. He's dropping one on the sideline, actually.
Big Deuce are playing the same minutes.
Exactly. So I don't know. I get, to me, he is a different conversation than Halliburton. I think that Halliburton is almost when they used to always bring a high school guy or a college player. I mean, Tyrese kind of feels like that on the team in a way. Younger, you're bringing him on more so as let's get your feet wet a little bit and you could be part of the next generation of Team USA. And I think that Tatum falls into that a little bit too, but there are a lot of things he could provide. When he played in the semifinal game, he played really good defense and was looking like he was trying to show on that end of the floor that I can lock in here if you need me to. And I thought played fine in those minutes. So it is surprising for me to not see him get run, especially after, like I said, Kerr saying he feels like an idiot doing it the first time.
No, I mean, I definitely understand that fully. Jayson Tatum is a great player and definitely is deserving to play. I don't have a question on whether he's deserving to play. But people, to me, it's I don't understand how it. Well, I think it is just as simple as you might not like it, but sometimes rotations end up that way, that you're going to end up with no minutes, or you're going to end up with less minutes than what you're anticipating. It's, again, not a matter of Jayson Tatum not being talented enough to deserve minutes for me. It's just I can understand why it doesn't happen because there's so much talent. Sure. And I also heard Sam Mitchell. I was listening to, I feel like I'm plugging NBA radio on Sirius XM a ton here, but I was listening to Sam Mitchell this morning explain, a big problem for why you're not seeing even Tyrese Halliburton play is these guys aren't playing that hard. These guys we've seen in the NBA, these guys can play 44 to 48 minute games because they know how to pace themselves. The problem is we saw how they played in the fourth quarter. Kevin Durant's picking up at half court.
For sure.
And you know what happened in that fourth quarter? They outscored him 32-15. So if they play with that intensity from the start of the game and just start blowing people out like they should, like the Dream Team would, they would play Angola and they would beat Angola by 50, then maybe you have to play 12 players because then, hey, yeah, Kevin Durant can't play that hard for 8 minutes in a row. You do have to sub in guys time after time after time. But the fact that, honestly, they're playing so lax and they're playing, LeBron James had 10 assists. LeBron ain't hustling up and down the court. That's them playing slow. To me, it really is. If you want Jayson Tatum to play, you have to pick up the intensity from the start of the game, and then it makes sense to rotate guys in and out. But if they're going to play this slow, bring down the ball, and have LeBron orchestrate everything, to me, and more specifically on the defensive end, them not having that level of urgency from the start, which is understandable. These guys know that they're more talented than everybody else they're playing. But if they were to play with the intensity that they played in that fourth quarter, I think that's an easy solution for how you get a guy like Jayson Tatum in there.
I'll also just say that, he's coming off a championship, meaning he played basketball way longer than all these other guys that are out there. So I thought that could factor in, but obviously the way that he's seeming to respond, maybe that's not exactly the case here. But I do think Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, it's not very often you see guys win a championship and their best players have a reason to have a chip on their shoulder going into next year.
That's a great point.
They might look real good out there next year.
The Celtics definitely, after winning a title and like you said, having the best record by far in the NBA, crazy enough, they definitely do have a chip on their shoulder, and you could definitely argue they have something to prove, especially Jaylen Brown. I think he's going to come out like a bat out of hell next season. Wow, we got breakdancing going on in the Olympics right now. I cannot wait to see how actually competitive this is. I'm surprised to see that it's breakdancing is actually a one-on-one thing. I would have thought it would be like gymnastics where you get your floor and then you do your routine and then you're judged.
Yeah.
But they have it straight one-on-one for the breakdancing in the Olympics. That is terrific. And as you know, if you've listened to this show this week, we will give you random Olympic updates and try not to spoil anything as we go on.
No promises.
Yeah, no promises though.
From me,
if something
at least.
gets too crazy, hey, things happen. This is live radio, and you're going to have to excuse us for a spoiler or two if we can. We're going to hope that Anthony Slater can spoil some of the surprise for what will happen with the Golden State Warriors this offseason. We talk with the Athletics' Anthony Slater coming up next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Labor Day savings now at Maida Chevy with $12,000 off MSRP on every new Silverado half-ton Turbo Max in stock after rebates.
$12,000 off every Silverado LT Turbo Max at Maida Chevy with at least 5 at this price.
Labor Day savings up to $12,000 off MSRP exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing and leasing some other offers. Must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/3/24.
Made a great deal at Maida.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Harmony, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Hello, I'm Frank Cockrell, the Retirement Security Centers with a weekly economic update. Are we speeding toward a recession? 2 recession indicators were triggered when the unemployment rate increased to 4.3% in July. The SOM rule states that a rise in unemployment of more than 0.5% from a 12-month low indicates a recession has been entered. While it has a perfect record looking at the 9 past recessions, it doesn't take into account all of the reasons for the rise. Spending on discretionary items such as travel, dining out, and accommodations make a case that consumers are not tightening their belts. According to Apollo Global Management's chief economist, Torsten Slock, there is not much evidence that we are in or entering a recession. Our jobs market has been propped up by a lack of layoffs, not robust hiring. Unemployment is rising due to higher labor participation rates as more workers have attempted to enter the workforce. Our employment picture isn't typical of a recession. Then again, what has been typical of the past 4 to 5 years? Maybe it's time to put the brakes on the recession talk for now. How might this affect you or your family? Please go to frankontheradio.com to schedule an appointment, watch videos, and receive market updates. I'm ready to help you start your journey so you can define your future.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Cafe Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Cafe is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Cafe.
Insurance companies perform a very valuable service, but they want to keep their money. Although most cases settle before trial, it is paramount that the insurance companies know that if pressed, your legal team has the experience to take your case all the way. For 25 years, Ashton & Price has earned the reputation that if the insurance company isn't fair, we're ready to force them to be fair. My mom used to warn me, wait till dad gets home. Think of us as dad. The best part, there's no fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins. Again, you can hear Alan Stiles in the morning all week. You've heard him in the morning all week. Carmichael, Dave, Jason Ross have been out. Whitey Gleason as well, out in Hawaii. Hope they have enjoyed their vacay weekend. And on the phone with us now is one Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Anthony Slater, have you had any time for vacation yet this summer? I was just mentioning you got Dave out, you got Jason out, you got Alan filling in the morning. Whitey's out of town. Have you had any time this summer to get at least a week off or a couple days for vacation yet?
I mean, do you consider Vegas for Summer League vacation? I'm not sure.
No, definitely not.
I did some vacation activities there. No, not really. But part of that, I got a 1-year-old, so you can. The jungle gym can be a vacation. No, I have not gone to a tropical location yet.
Fair enough. What's up, Anthony? Brendan here. Appreciate you taking the time, man. Wanted to ask you real quick. Obviously, we're going to get into some of the Warrior stuff going on, but to start Kings here related, last season they were 14th in defensive rating. I believe that's up from 24th in the year prior and even 9th post All-Star break. And they talked about how the difference in officiating around that time, allowing them to be more physical, really allowed them to take that next step. And you saw a lot of different guys embrace that. How much do you believe that there will be that isn't fool's gold and that even potentially that will still be allowed, that level of physicality?
Yeah, that's going to be a huge preseason storyline league-wide, because I think players and coaches are going to want answers from officials in the league of, what kind of game they're going to be allowed to play. Because, everybody league-wide, not just the Kings, was talking about that in the second half, how different it was, how that, favored some teams, made some teams adjust. So we will see. I don't know the answer to that question, and I don't think anybody in the league does, but I think it is a big question entering camp as far as just specifically Kings related and the defensive jump they made. It's personnel based, and I think it's strategic from Mike Brown, who started to play more defensive lineups. Obviously, Keon Ellis's ascension, basically taking Kevin Huerter's job, although, part of that is Kevin Huerter being injured. But I think we all would agree Keon Ellis is stepping into a big role this season. That will help. Keegan Murray making that second-year defensive leap. Does that continue into the third year? There's a bit more defensive personnel being used by the Kings, and if there's more physicality allowed, and we know the head coach is going to lean that way with his decision making. So I think there's a level of optimism that they can at least be league average, but I just don't think they have the personnel, particularly in the interior, to get much above league average.
Yeah, Anthony. Now moving on to the Warriors, and yesterday we played your audio clip from speaking with Tim Kawakami about just kind of where the Warriors go now that Lauri Markkanen's officially off the table, and you really highlighted how much pressure there is internally on Brandon Podziemski, and they I think you said that internally they're throwing around the term maybe he can be an all-star, which is just a lot of pressure to put on a guy who's entering his second season. Where do you think he needs to improve most as a player if he is going to reach those kind of heights?
Well, one thing I will say about Brandon Podziemski, nobody believes he's going to be an all-star more than Brandon Podziemski believes. So it's not pressure that will get to him in a sense of he thinks the Warriors made a great decision not to trade him. He does believe in his upside. It's part of what they like about him, an extreme, genuine level of confidence. And, again, I said it on the podcast you're mentioning, but, I've had conversations with him of kind of doubting, about how I've doubted him in the past. I didn't necessarily like the draft pick when they made it. I didn't think he was going to break into the rotation year one. His first college coach in Illinois, Brad Underwood, didn't think he was very good, clearly, so he transferred to Santa Clara. Nobody thought he was a first-round draft pick, and then he busted through at the combine and in the pre-draft process. So he's a guy every step of the way that continues to, prove doubters wrong. I still, at this point, would be a doubter in his long-term offensive ceiling and scoring ability to get to that all-star level. But I can't say that he won't, because I'm kind of tired of saying that he won't do stuff. As far as the pressure that's on him, look, they're going to really need him to I would say be maybe their fourth, fifth most important player. And he kind of was last year. He was their best plus minus guy. He was their second best rebounder. He just provides a level of winning value. Now, can he scale up? We'll see. But the truth is, I think sometimes we're having the conversation of can he scale up? Can Kuminga scale up and get them to fringe contention? Answer is probably no, but that's just I don't think they're a contender next year. I'm not going into the season picking them to be a 3-4 seed. I'm picking them probably to be, ceiling 6 seed, fringe play-in. And, maybe that's disappointing. But the one thing I will say that we've learned this summer, they tried to use some of their draft picks and some of their young guys to get Paul George. They would have been willing to do it for Lauri Markkanen. They weren't willing to throw everything for Lauri Markkanen, but they would have traded picks and some of the young guys, which means they're a willing buyer entering the season. And trades don't stop now. Trades can happen in the next couple of months, but really can happen come December, January, February. I think they will be a buyer. And I think the Kings, still have a level of draft capital that they didn't use to get a Lauri Markkanen and Brandon Ingram. So you can improve teams at the deadline, just like we saw with Dallas.
Yeah, Anthony Slater of The Athletic here. Thanks for joining us, man. And you mentioned the Markkanen thing there as well, and obviously the Warriors being buyers, Kings falling into the same thing. Are there other names that you're sort of keeping tabs on that you see could potentially become part of these conversations as the year goes on?
Yeah, again, they're not surprising names necessarily. If you're talking more mid-tier names, you start to look at the rebuilding teams that would be more willing sellers. There's not that many anymore in the league with all this parity. But, Washington with Kuzma, I just feel like at some point if somebody's willing to throw a decent enough first on the table, he's likely he can be had. Brooklyn, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, everybody's talked about those. I wonder with Portland, I wonder about DeAndre Ayton's future in Portland, right? They just drafted Donovan Clingan. I don't think Ayton blew anybody away over there. I know his contract's not super appealing, but it's not horrible to the point you can't trade it because of where salaries are going league-wide. So, he's a guy. And then, if you're talking who's the next big appealing star to be available, I wouldn't consider Zach LaVine or even Brandon Ingram in that realm, because clearly teams have balked at their contracts. But, I don't know, what happens if Milwaukee just has a horrible first couple months? Do you start to hear some Giannis noise? I don't know. What do you guys think? What is a type of, and again, I'm not reporting that. I'm trying to forecast who might be the next big name available, because there is not one right now. Lauri Markkanen would have been the best. And right now, Durant, Booker, right? What if Phoenix, they feel like they're in such an unsettled situation? You got to just wonder what situations might unsettle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I keep looking at Atlanta and Trae Young. I don't know if they're eventually going to make a move. I keep thinking Karl Anthony Towns' days could be numbered in Minnesota. But you're right. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of names out there, but it doesn't seem like anybody is willing to budge on any of them. And, you mentioned Golden State and Sacramento potentially being active at the deadline, Anthony. And I'm curious, there was reports that kind of surfaced today about Kuminga wanting an extension, a max extension at that. Do you think that that's the next order of business for the Warriors, or will they kind of hold off on extending him so that they could potentially move him at the deadline?
Well, they'll talk. Part of when they did the Jordan Poole trade was understanding that they could trade Jordan Poole even, after extending him the next summer. But I would expect them to discuss an extension as we get, especially closer to October, with Kuminga and Moody. Now, max, no, I would not expect the Warriors to give Jonathan Kuminga a max, because at this point he kind of has to prove he's that good of a player. Now, if he's willing to go down on that number, if they can meet in like kind of a middle range, I think maybe like I'm curious what Josh Giddey gets and how that might impact Kuminga's number, because I remember comparing it to the Poole situation when that went down a couple preseasons ago. It came right after the Tyler Hero number dropped, and I remember at the time talking to Warriors people, and it was like, that really changed what they had to offer Poole. So I think the market will dictate itself, but again, Franz Wagner, Scotty Barnes type money, like Kuminga cannot get that right now. He could play himself into that. I think he has a level of talent that if he exploded in year 4, he could. But if you're talking more like maybe $30 million per year range, maybe they can find something in that middle ground.
Yeah, he may not love a middle ground, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. When you look at the Western Conference as a whole, you cover a lot of these teams. I know you got some work that you do with OKC. How much do you look at them and potentially some of these others, whether it's Denver, Minnesota, as the clear top of the Western Conference? And after them, how open is it really to you?
I think because of Denver's decline, the way they've been kind of eroding around the edges, like it feels much more open, because I would say late last year, even entering the playoffs, it just felt like Denver was this, playoff runaway, because they had the best player in the league. Jamal Murray was just like kind of this like almost playoff legend in a sense. Can't make an all-star team, but he's had so many big playoff moments. They were really built well around it. They had this incredible starting 5. Well, they lose Bruce Brown, obviously, going into last season. Now KCP, we all know that's a huge loss. They've swung and missed a little bit, I think, on some of these draft picks. We'll see. I mean, obviously, they're still kind of high on Christian Braun, but clearly Mike Malone hasn't trusted, a Christian Braun, a Peyton Watson, some of these Strother, some of these young guys in the playoffs, which is, picked at their depth. And then what's going on with Jamal Murray? We don't, I don't know. He was not great in the playoffs. Obviously, he had a couple big game winners in that Lakers series. But overall, he just looked a little hobbled. And then we just saw, I'm sure y'all saw Jordy Fernandez trying to coach Canada to, a medal. I think Jamal Murray was probably the biggest detriment to that, the way he played. So we'll see how he looks. But if he's kind of still like non-all-star Jamal Murray, and there's question marks in the class, then suddenly like Jokic's supporting cast doesn't look nearly as beefy. And then if that's the case, a team like a Dallas who won it last year, like it's open for a 4 seed, a 5 seed to break through. And then suddenly we're talking about a lot of teams, I think, in the conference that can talk themselves into at least like, you make a West Finals, you make a second round, you're in the conversation. The other thing I'll say, I think everybody's going to pick Oklahoma City to win the conference heading into the season. And I'd probably agree they're the most likely 1 seed. They were the 1 seed last year. But I still have questions about their playoff ceiling, especially as a number 2 scorer. Do they have enough?
Very interesting. Anthony, last one from us here. Again, on the Warriors front, reports Kendra Andrews on ESPN.com yesterday reported that Steph and Draymond are fine with the offseason moves for Golden State as long as they remain competitive. I think that's the key there. As long as they remain competitive, you kind of said that you view them, kind of near the high end of a 6 seed potentially. We don't know if that's going to be good enough for those guys, but if that isn't good enough for them and they don't remain competitive, how patient, specifically Steph, do you think they will be with the Warriors retooling?
Yeah, we're going to see. Steph is occupied right now, obviously, over in Paris, obviously. And he is kind of he's the kind of guy that compartmentalizes a lot of stuff. I will say a few things. He's been in on the conversations. Like he may not be as public with the way other stars around the league can maybe try to like manipulate their front offices, but like he's like him and Mike Dunleavy talk about all the options. They were him and Draymond were trying to get Paul George. They were obviously in on the marketing conversation, so he knows what's going on much more than we do, really. And he has 2 years left on his deal. I think once he gets back from Paris, he is going to take a little bit of time, and he has a decision to make on if he wants to tack an extra year on his extension. He could extend an extra year at $62.6 million if he wants. That would be a level of commitment, more of a commitment to the future. But I don't get the sense he's about to shock the world and just demand out again. If the Warriors decide to hit the eject button and a big rebuild button, he wouldn't like that. But that's not what Joe Lacob's trying to do. They, again, as we were talking about earlier, they've been willing to trade the picks, to trade at least a young guy or two to try to get better. And Steph knows that they can do that into the season. He'll be in on those conversations. And honestly, pressure's on them a little bit. I would say Steph needs to show he's still, an all NBA type player. He's obviously 36. And then the big pressure, you mentioned the other name there, Draymond Green, can't get suspended. That's what derailed last season. So he's just like, he needs to be available. And if he is available, they, organizationally are saying, look, if he just didn't get suspended for 20-something games last year, they're probably a 51-win team. You guys know how compact that West is. You win 4 more games last year, Kings, Warriors, whoever, you hop from bottom of the play-in to like 5 seed, 4 seed, and you're right in the mix. So they just need a stable season from Draymond Green.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Anthony Slater, thank you so much for joining us. You're always there anytime Brendan reaches out or anytime Alan and I reach out. We definitely appreciate your insight, and I hope you might not be able to find time for vacation, but I hope you can find some time sometime to at least get a little bit of a break here before the NBA season kicks off. Anthony Slater writes for The Athletic, NBA stuff, Warrior stuff. He's at a ton of Kings games. Anthony, thank you so much.
All right, fellas.
Appreciate you, man. Best of luck with the little one.
Yeah, I need it.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Anthony Slater of The Athletic, always dropping good stuff. We're definitely going to react to some of the things that Anthony had to say. And at some point here, we're going to try and get to the bottom of what is going on with Rudy Gobert and this potential phantom injury. We get into that. And again, reacting to what Anthony Slater just had to say. Coming up next right here, Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Keegan Murray is Sacktown Sports.
Out to Keegan Murray, straight away for 3, and Keegan knocks down the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Keegan Murray, and you're listening to the home of Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Wherever I travel, I've learned that local knowledge is key to a great journey, but so is knowing the language. And that's where Rosetta Stone comes in. They're now offering a lifetime membership to all 25 of their languages. You can dabble in French, try a little German, learn Japanese or Swedish, and you can now get 50% off Rosetta Stone's lifetime unlimited subscription. Visit rosettastone.com/radio today to purchase and then learn for life. That's rosettastone.com/radio.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Hi, Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
All right, get ready for an incredible lineup of live music and events with the Sacktown Sports live events calendar. Jason Mraz is at Thunder Valley on August 9th, and don't miss the Truckee Music Festival on August 9th and 10th, featuring Kip Moore and Sublime. Then rock out with the Mick Adams Stones Tribute on August 15th at Thunder Valley. And get ready for Michael Franti at the Backyard in Sacramento on August 23rd. It's Soul Fest 24 live on August 24th at Thunder Valley. Plus, take a trip back in time with 80s Rewind at Thunder Valley on September 1st. Train and REO Speedwagon are at Toyota Amphitheater on September 6th, and the Doobie Brothers at Toyota Amphitheater on September 10th. Then don't miss the Lodi Grape Festival September 12th through the 15th, featuring Joe Nichols and Smash Mouth. And you'll laugh out loud with George Lopez at Hard Rock Live Sacramento coming September 21st. Then it's Bad Religion at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on October 19th. The Sacktown Sports live events calendar is your ticket to the hottest live shows in town.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
Yet again, the Olympics finds ways to entertain me. And me and Brandon are now watching, what is this, like, could you call it like ribbon gymnastics? Ribbon dancing?
Yeah, it's mesmerizing is what it is.
It's called The Thing from Old School.
Yes!
There you go.
What Will Ferrell does in Old School.
And they got the big fat guy do it too, yeah.
That's right.
Always funny, man.
It's so good. That movie is an absolute classic.
Brendan, I don't know if I asked you, how did you feel about your person from the Olympics, the KHTK Olympics picture?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I'll accept that my guy got a silver. And
Carlos Alcaraz?
Yeah. I think it fits well. Honestly, when I first saw this, it took me a sec to realize what was even really going on here.
Yeah, same.
Fair.
And piece together who is who. And I feel like I'm one of the more obvious ones, actually, that it's myself. But that's not a bad thing. I could look like Carmichael Tice out here. So
yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah.
I think the Dave one's definitely the one that looks the most real.
I mean, Jason,
your hair is just the only thing that's off.
It's true.
Jason's looks incredible. Like, I would definitely believe you if you said, like, no, that was Jason a couple years after college. He, like, was in this, like, amateur wrestling event. And actually, that might even be, like, shot putter or something like that. But
if you want to see this, just hop on our YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone over it a few times, but I'm just curious what Brendan thought about himself.
I was going to say, Verlade looks way too good.
Yeah, so does Emil.
Like, he looks too, like
those
he doesn't
two bother
look,
me.
He doesn't look
immensely.
possessed enough.
Yeah.
These are all cursed images, and Verlade just looks like
which one is Verlade?
That.
Oh,
Michael
I
Phelps.
see. Okay.
He's Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Huh.
Not the biggest fan.
I don't love that Simone thought I was Luka Doncic either.
Yeah.
But the Curry, it's not fair talking to you about it because you maybe got the worst deal.
Yeah, not the biggest.
I'm sorry.
Not the biggest.
I hate that I was a part of that.
Not the biggest fan of that, but it is incredibly fitting, and it has become almost prophetic that you guys put Alan Stiles as one Noah Lyles.
It just everything
both
works
of which
out.
Being out of service at the moment. Yeah, and it has been a crazy Olympics. I don't know, they're not wrapping up this weekend? Are they? I'm pretty sure it must be next
getting
weekend.
close.
Tomorrow is the basketball game.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of finals.
Men's.
I know we've obviously had the men's 100 final and the women's 100 final. Right now, we're looking at the relays go on. So those are in a final right now. So there is a chance here. I could be wrong, but the Olympics are definitely wrapping up here at some point soon. And it could very well be this weekend as the final dates. As again, like you said, Nate, you have Team USA men's basketball going through to the gold medal match tomorrow. And yes, the Olympics wrap up on August 11th. So on Sunday will be the final day of the 2024 Paris Olympics. And it has been a great one, I will say. I've definitely been entertained. I've watched all the sports, as everyone has heard. And it's been great. I've got no complaints about this year's Olympics. And you get the Simone Biles run, you get a good Team USA basketball game, you get some surprises. I think, of course, everybody loves when, we know Usain Bolt's going to win and then he does it. But there's been a good bit of upsets, I think, especially in the track events. And we might have just seen one that have been happening. So I think it's been relatively successful. Brandon, we just talked, for anybody who is just now tuning in, welcome into Stiles and Watkins. Alan Stiles out, and he has been all week filling in the mornings. Brendan Nunez holding it down with me right now in the afternoon. We just spoke with Anthony Slater of The Athletic. He covers the Warriors, also covers the NBA at large. Did anything stick out to you specifically? A couple of things I wrote down, but for you, did anything specifically stick out that Anthony Slater said there?
Yeah, first of all, I think Slater's really good at what he does.
Incredible.
And you can hear it when you just get to ask him about a handful of different topics and he gets to drop gems left and right. I think his level of questioning, as you're looking at this this first handoff in the 100-meter, help me the name here,
the relay.
Thank you. USA absolutely botched their first handoff, and obviously ended up costing them there as Canada.
Hold on, don't spoil it all.
Okay, my bad. You're right.
This is a hot button topic here.
You're right. I'll keep
Slater.
it quiet. Yes, but I think that Slater drops a lot there. I think some of the interesting things are, Steph Curry, if he wants, could add another year to his contract this offseason. Always funny to hear if he wants $60 million. Who doesn't, But
I think that's more of a
little
case
situational.
if he signs up for what the Warriors are selling him.
Right. I'm sure he could find that money elsewhere too, if need be. But I think that, along with questioning like the Western Conference a little bit and just talking about how open it is, that he thinks, a team could end up sneaking into, there's probably 8-10 teams that can convince themselves, if things go right, we may sneak into the Western Conference Finals. And I think the Kings are one of those. His level of questioning, obviously, with Denver and even OKC at the top when it comes to postseason success. He's wondering who that number 2 real scorer on that team is. I think I like Jalen Williams maybe a little bit more than what he seems to throughout that conversation. But the West is definitely wide open. And clearly there's going to be, I think with that comes teams that are going to try and make moves to get better at the deadline, but you have so many teams competing, there's less sellers.
Yeah, no, and I think the OKC thing is a great place to start because, you mention it all the time with the Kings, but, you have some certain regular season questions, and then you have more so a lot of big picture questions about the Kings, and I think that fits with OKC where, sure, you might have a question here or there about their regular season, but I think their biggest questions are postseason questions, like, can you survive with Chet Holmgren as your primary big? Can you live with the lack of just big depth they have and things like that? And I more so, I think, on your side, but I actually think Chet Holmgren is going to be their second scorer over Jalen Williams. But again, I have questions about how sustainable that is and how far that can take you in a playoff series with them still being so young and a bit inexperienced. Of course, they made it to the second round last year and lost to the eventual Western Conference champions. But definitely still have some questions on OKC. And just in general, I thought it was interesting, Anthony Slater, with his giving his ceiling for the Warriors, saying he doesn't necessarily put them right now in the contender category, sees them more as a middling Western Conference team. And like you said, I mean, it is just so free-flowing in the Western Conference. it could be anywhere. He said a 6 seed, but I'm sure he would tell you that it wouldn't surprise him in the Western Conference with how crazy it can be if they were a 4 seed, if they were a 5 seed. But I'm sure he would also say he'd be equally as unsurprised if they ended up as a 9 or a 10 seed as they were last season. So that is definitely something that caught my attention, as well as throwing out what he said about the Jonathan Kuminga extension and that possibly being I won't say contentious, but potentially being a bit confusing, where Golden State might have one number in mind and Jonathan Kuminga might have another. Please stop me if you've heard that somebody in the Bay Area wants a certain amount of money and his team thinks he's not quite worth it, and they might have to find a new home. Just let me know if you've heard a story that's similar to that. I can't think of any, but maybe Brendan Nunez can. Coming up next, we're going to reveal the NBA Christmas Day game slate. We're going to compare it to the NFL. And like I said, at some point here, probably after that, we're going to get into what is going on with one Rudy Gobert. You're listening to Stiles and Watkins right here, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, during Naturewood Home Furnishings Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Harmony, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Public Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer Duster. Love it or your money back.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks or online sacksuperstore.com. Big inventory and the right deal. Experience it for yourself and see why their customers drive away smiling. It's the Sack Superstore difference.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Yikes. Well, you will have some fun watching Primetime in Paris for one of the last times today. I won't call it controversy, but some bad stuff happening for Team USA in these track events. It'll be interesting to see the backlash from this. It'll be interesting. I won't say again what exact race it was or anything like that, but might have been missing Noah Lyles is all I'm going to say. Obviously we don't have the audio here, so we can't hear the analysis and breakdown of what's going on, but it seems like Team USA could have used Noah Lyles today is all I will say. He, of course, for those who missed the news yesterday, revealed after he finished bronze in the 200 event, which for those who are keeping track, Noah Lyles was incredibly confident in his he was confident, period, but the 200 is his event. He's not even really a 100-meter sprinter. He is typically just the greatest in the 200, and he finished with the bronze yesterday. And after the race came out, and he had to receive very serious medical attention after the race. He was like passed out on the floor, pretty much had to be given IVs, I believe, and left the track on a makeshift wheelchair.
Crazy sight.
Yeah, it was.
It looked like something.
It looked
instantly.
very,
Like,
very
okay,
real.
this is not fake.
Yeah, 100%. So definitely could have been a reason. You would imagine. We're not talking about running out in your front yard or anything. We're talking about Olympic sprinters here, and you could imagine that having something like COVID, where it directly affects your lungs and your energy levels and things like that, you could definitely see how that could potentially affect somebody with the slimmest of margins that there is in Olympic sprinting. You can definitely understand why maybe that did play a factor. But I will say, I would also recommend that you look up what Noah Lyles did immediately before that race. In the introduction, he is literally, Brendan, running all the way around. Like they have your name introduced.
Yeah,
and
I
everything.
missed this.
I will show you during the break. This man legitimately is like running up. He pretty much does like a half lap of like arms out saying like, I'm here.
that guy.
Yes. Pumping. And literally the entire competition is already on their blocks, pretty much ready to go.
Crazy.
As this dude is like, yes, the one has arrived.
Right.
Yes.
Not even in his
Noah
home
is
country.
here. Not in his home country. Nothing. Knowing he has COVID
Right.
at this point, potentially exhausting himself
Right.
in the warm up of it. So definitely would recommend you
He's a
look
showman.
at that video.
He's a showman for sure. And when
Hey,
it
man.
works well, it makes for good entertainment, but it also makes you a little bit of a lightning rod
Yep.
that some people are not going to love that. As we got Snoop Dogg out here, by the way, looking like he's taking part in the breakdancing a little bit.
He sure is, and I'm actually shocked that this wasn't this should have been publicized more. I'm like,
What is
this makes
happening?
all the sense in the world. Snoop Dogg, I believe, did just christen the breakdancing floor.
Yeah.
If I had to guess what that was. So yeah, shout out Snoop, who, like I said, has kind of been changing my mind this Olympics on if he is corny or not. And yes, I was going to drop an Alfred line there and say you either you live long enough you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
And that to me is where Noah Lyles is starting to fall here. As we move on to The Christmas Day slate of games, the NBA, Shams Charania released yesterday, or announced, I should say, broke potentially what the NBA Christmas Day slate is. And Brendan, I got an onomatopoeia for you. I guess it's not really an onomatopoeia, but I have a sound for you. It's
nice
garbage. It is absolutely not exciting at all. You have Victor Wembanyama playing against the New York Knicks. Nothing wrong necessarily with like the Knicks being involved. Spurs, I understand it. Victor Wembanyama, you want to get him on TV, but the matchup itself.
Yeah, a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. I get, like you're saying, it's Wembanyama.
Indiana's not involved in these games.
Like, where is typically there's some sort of history between these teams.
There's a story of something.
You see, I mean, these other ones, Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, you see that a little bit,
Wolves, Mavericks.
Yeah, that's fine. Like,
it's okay. It's two good teams.
Yeah.
I have I guess was that? Yeah, I guess that was the Western Conference Finals, right?
I believe it was. Yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think we have that right.
Yes, because Minnesota took out Denver, and Dallas obviously ended up in the NBA Finals. So you have a Western Conference Finals rematch. Okay,
I guess
again, Minnesota for sure. I probably would have been a little bit more excited at Minnesota Nuggets potentially. I think would have been a funner match. Honestly, you could swap these things around. You get so let me just go through the slate and then we can mess around with it as much as we want. Spurs at Knicks. You have Timberwolves at Mavericks. You have, as you mentioned, Sixers at Celtics. You have Lakers at Warriors, and you have Nuggets at Suns. If I could fix this, I would do Timberwolves at Nuggets. Two teams that, I have bigs as well. You can sell it as a nice little big battle between Rudy Gobert, Cat, and Jokic. Also was a very good battle last year in the playoffs. Probably the most memorable series from last year in the playoffs. Do Dallas versus Phoenix. I guess both of those teams are at home. Maybe they wanted to reward both of them for some reason, but pick one to be at home. You get KD versus Kyrie. Sells itself. What are we doing?
Klay Thompson in there.
Luka versus Booker. Isn't that a rivalry in itself as well? Sixers, Celtics, you're fine. Lakers, Warriors, you're fine. I think we've just seen Lakers, Warriors too many times, and those are just two big names. I mean, both of those teams are going to be floundering in the play-in territory, 6 to 10 seed. Sixers, Celtics, I guess those are just usually the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. Am I crapping on this too much, or is there something there that excites you a little bit?
Some of them are okay. The Spurs Knicks one is just weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, have the Hawks go back to MSG or something. I know that that's not a great call either on my end.
I mean, it's the
there's
same.
some history
It's the
there.
same. Yeah.
Like Dallas playing in Golden State, and you got to see Klay Thompson play against the Warriors.
What are we doing?
That would have been
it.
great.
No, that's it.
It's exactly what you want to see.
That's completely
and
correct.
I think typically you could go down the line. It's like, okay, what big guys change teams?
Yep.
Let's have them play against their former teams.
Mm-hmm. Easy storyline.
Easy. Even if you want to, this is lesser. Nah, probably not. I was going to say New Orleans and Atlanta. That one's probably not doing it.
No, that's really
just DeJounte's not doing it for me. No, yeah. I stopped myself before I.
I was even going to say like Brooklyn, New York, but that's, maybe you could sell that as just like, again, the early game, 9 a.m. It's going to be Eastern Conference or East Coast time anyway. Nobody's going to really be up on Christmas watching that.
I don't think we expected the Kings to get a game, obviously, but if they were to get one, who would you have guessed it was? Who would you want it to be against?
I would not want it to be against the Pelicans, but it might be.
I mean, the Warriors?
Warriors makes the most sense just in terms of those games have always been good. You're going to, even if the Kings aren't, you could sell it, just blanket as like, hey, watch the Warriors.
Have them against Dallas with Vlade courtside again?
I am you said want. You said what games do I want to see? Yeah, really. I mean, the Warriors one is really kind of the only one that really intrigues me. Nothing else. The Kings haven't really sparked a rival yet. Maybe them in Memphis could be interesting, but I don't know if that has the national appeal that they're looking for. So, yeah. I mean, who would your pick be if there is any?
It's probably the Warriors, and it's hard to really think. I mean,
and the Warriors are a tough one because you can pair them with anybody and it'll be a massively watched game. So of course they're going to super stack it with
and it sucks that like Chicago is not interesting at all because DeMar going back to play his old team, even like
in Chicago,
Toronto or something market. Like those teams aren't really doing it. But trying to see is there a connection of like DeMar against somebody, even against San Antonio or something.
You know who should be upset about not getting a game? OKC. How is OKC
You're not wrong.
mentioned on here?
Yeah.
I mean, they were the best team. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, had a good summer with Canada. They get Alex Caruso this offseason. No reason why they won't
could
be
have
better.
been here instead of the Spurs against the Knicks. Like they
Why
took
not?
Hartenstein, if you want to throw that
Why
in
not?
there,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think that's the one that I think is the biggest glaring omission. And I can imagine, Brendan, think about this. If the Sacramento Kings were the 1 seed, as good as OKC was last season,
we'd be heated.
We would be rioting today. What are we talking about? And so I think it's crazy that OKC, the only reason that you could validate not having them in is because of the market size. And, I get it. NBA is a business for sure. But at the end of the day, like, you want to reward teams for being good, and you don't want to just say, hey, let's throw the Spurs in there because Victor Wembanyama's been playing. I get it. Again, casual observers aren't going to care. They're going to want to see Victor Wembanyama. But when that fourth quarter comes and it's a 15, 20-point blowout, you're probably going to wish it probably would have been better for viewership if we go to OKC. So, or if we at least involve OKC. You don't have to go to OKC. I can understand why that would be a barrier, but not including them at all is a bit tough. They will have competition, as last year was the first year that the NFL decided to mark its territory on Christmas Day. And let me tell you, I mean, at least one of these matchups and the other one at least includes a big name that, it's football. People are going to watch. On the NFL, competing against that NBA Day slate, you have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to be at 10 a.m. on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. And then the Baltimore Ravens and Houston Texans kick off at 1:30 as well on Netflix. Netflix, for those who are unaware, agreed to a 3-year deal for exclusive Christmas Day game rights for the NFL. So the next 3 seasons, we will be getting Christmas Day on Netflix. And then the day after Christmas as well, on the 26th, you will have Nate's favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, taking on the Chicago Bears on Amazon Prime. I would say,
snooze fest.
NFL already dominates the NBA and just everybody in terms of viewership. But something tells me that, most eyes are probably going to be on Ravens, Texans, and maybe I would probably rather, if Chiefs Pittsburgh is going against Spurs Knicks, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick Chiefs Pittsburgh. So might be a sign of things to come for the NBA here. They either are going to have to give up on Christmas, which has been their day, to be fair to them. But if you're not going to bring the games that's going to bring the eyeballs, you're going to continue to lose to the NFL, and it's not really even going to be close. All right, I've been teasing this enough. Let's get to the bottom of what is going on with one Rudy Gobert. We talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles the man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy you happiness. But money did help you buy an RV, which means an excuse from working Saturday with your insufferable coworker, Dave. So money is helping you listen to birds chirp instead of Dave chirping about how his toddler is fluent in 3 languages. And it's also why you'll be smelling pine trees in a year, not Dave's tuna melt reheating in a microwave. So save money by bundling your RV or boat insurance with home or auto from Progressive and buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
The best things in life, they come in 2s. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable, nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in 2s. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Ace on the track.
The song is a certified banger. Absolutely. What, SOB and Ray, right? Because I know it's like RXE.
Yeah.
Sure
Yeah.
Ray,
Bay Area banger. There's something. I got a weakness for Bay Area beats.
Yeah. And then they came on the Black Panther album too, and they had
Kendrick.
Paramedic.
Yeah.
Yep.
That song's so good.
Crazy.
Ooh, I might have to come back with that.
Crazy.
That album was crazy.
That album was nuts. It had no business going as hard
Vince
as it
Staples.
did. Vince
dude.
Staples is on it.
I think it's their debut album too, right?
Well, it's
or you're talking the Black Panther
no,
album.
the Black Panther album.
Gotcha,
Yes,
gotcha.
not the SOB. I haven't even heard the SOB and Ray album.
Yeah,
No.
I believe that was their debut, and I want to
It
say
was,
there's
yeah.
some stuff going on since then.
Really?
With them. Maybe
Yeah,
not
there
in the
is.
greatest way, right?
There is,
Gotcha.
I think the Bay kind of like some like beef. They turned on each other. The scene there, They
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah. They were kind of upset at the Bay didn't support them, right, or something like that.
I'll speak. I don't know exactly, but this is what I've heard.
Don't commit, Nate.
Yeah, please don't. They were a little upset that the Bay didn't support them when they hit mainstream because Bay Area. It's like when your favorite thing gets popular.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, dude, I was on this before. Now it sucks.
Right,
So I think
yeah.
it was kind of like that.
Okay.
That sounds like the Bay Area. To be
Yeah, it
honest.
does. It
I can
really
be
does.
guilty of that.
Sounds super Bay Area. Well, shout out SOB and Ray. Yeah, they got absolute slappers. And yeah, that Black Panther album had no business going as hard as it did with all the collabs. Yeah, you mentioned a couple of the names in there. And just a wide variety. You got SZA. You got, Khalid's on that thing, too.
Yeah. He just dropped an album
Great.
too, by
Did
the
he
way.
really?
Yeah, finally his second one.
It's only his second
I'm
album?
pretty sure it's only his second
He
one.
had, the one with location and everything that popped,
when he
6
was
years ago?
17, by the way.
Literally,
It does not
17.
sound like that at all. And yeah, just
Really?
dropped one, if not a week ago or so.
Wow, I might actually have to tune into that.
Yeah.
I actually was a pretty
Some solid ones.
decent supporter of Khalid, so definitely might check that out. And it is a New Music Friday, as some people like to tell me. New music tends to drop today at midnight, or last night, I guess, at midnight. So go check that out if you are a Khalid fan, and go check out Sam Amick had a very interesting article over there at The Athletic. Detailing, I mean, Sam's over there in Paris right now. He has thankfully not been asked to work for us as he's been over there. As you know, Sam typically joins the morning show. What is it, Wednesdays or Thursdays at 8 a.m. He has had, I think, the past couple weeks off as he's been in the Olympics or in Paris for the Olympics. And he wrote a very interesting article detailing what is going on with one Rudy Gobert. It has been a little bit confusing for those who haven't been paying super close attention. Rudy Gobert was put on the bench a couple games back, and France did, of course, as they are in the gold medal match. They won that game, and Rudy played about 3 minutes, I think it was, in that game. And there was a lot of speculation on, okay, like, it's one thing to put him on the bench. It makes sense. Like, can you really, how many 7'2+ guys can you have on the floor at the same time? And it got a little bit clunky, so it was understandable that they eventually do pick one, and that one is Victor Wembanyama. But why was Rudy Gobert only playing 4 minutes? Sam Amick had this in his article. He wrote, French big man Rudy Gobert, who played less than 4 minutes tonight, just told a few of us reporters that, and this is again a quote from Rudy Gobert, that he had surgery on his left ring finger yesterday and was thankful he was able to play at all in the win over Canada. Now, Brandon, you tell me that is not what the company line has been when it comes to Rudy Gobert. Can you fill us in a bit on what non-Rudy Gobert humans are saying about why Rudy Gobert didn't receive minutes?
Yeah, a weird one. So everybody's wondering why this is going on. Also, Rudy's a guy that has had situations like this happen before. Obviously, we've seen some postseason stuff back when he was with Utah. And in that game against Canada, as Rudy comes into the game, SGA starts getting a little bit of a rhythm by sort of picking on him in ways that he can, which is always a little funny considering he's a many-time defensive player of the year. But as you said, Amick said right after that Gobert played 4 minutes, told him that he had surgery on his left ring finger yesterday and he was able to play at all. Then Ben Golliver comes out with a tweet that says France's coach Rudy Gobert did not undergo surgery on his injured finger before win over Canada, and lineup changes were based on matchups. And then as Ben sort of continues to, it seems like, dive in, have some conversations over there, France's coach again clarified a little bit more that Rudy Gobert's finger was examined, including an MRI, but, quote, it was not a surgery. And the logic behind what he calls lineup changes based on matchups, again, from France coach, we're going to go with Vincent Calais, I believe, probably close there.
That works.
The decision on benching Gobert was, quote, small ball. I wanted Wemby to start at the 5 position, Yabusele at the 4. And Fournier was benched as well because they wanted a defensive starting 5. So
Rudy Gobert, defensive player of the
adding
year,
up here, and I get Wemby absolutely should be the priority over Gobert. I think it's no questions asked.
Yeah.
But someone's telling a fib here. There's something fishy about what in the world is going on. And for it to start with Gobert saying, no, I had surgery, and turns out, it's just an MRI. It's like, okay, how do you not know that? Are you trying to protect your perspective a little bit in how you're looked at in all this, or what's going on? Because something is not adding up here.
And I'm going to tell you right now, we've never had to cover Rudy Gobert in terms of, like, he's obviously never been a Sacramento King or anything like that. Everything I picked up on Rudy Gobert from all the way back in 2020, I will say, and onward, and even a little bit before that, I don't trust Rudy Gobert. I just don't. I mean, to be honest with you, again, everything that I've heard, I'm not going to, go out there and hardline the reporting or anything like that, but just various different reports that I have seen throughout the years tell me Rudy Gobert is not traditionally well-liked in his locker rooms, whether it be from players, whether it be from coaches as well. Has been I think a weird person is a okay describer for Rudy Gobert. He's been, frankly, like, behavior like this isn't abnormal, where, he will have a completely different story on something than somebody else who is heavily involved. And that person is then surprised to hear that Rudy said what he had said. To me, I mean, I see a mid-rock on the Sack chat here saying Gobert trying to save face, maybe. To me, that's exactly what this is. This is clearly, to me, Rudy Gobert immediately after getting benched, trying to massage the narrative and say, no, I wasn't benched. What are you talking about? This was I was glad I played at all because my finger, it just had surgery on it. And, I'm glad that I can count to 5 on my finger. So I don't believe Rudy Gobert at all. And I think that this is completely him just trying to not seem like he got benched to me.
I mean, it's hard to not think that from this perspective, because France's coach has no reason to sit here and lie about this.
Yeah.
And, it sounds a lot more realistic to me that you're still played 4 minutes. So you're going to say, like, oh yeah, we just wanted to get you some run, even though we know you're not healthy. Like, what? I don't really see that happening. And the varying logics here of, I wanted to play small and start Wemby at the 5, Yabusele at the 4, which, by the way, French Draymond playing over a guy that probably doesn't like Draymond very much is kind of funny. But then saying Fournier was benched because you wanted a defensive starting 5. If I'm Rudy Gobert, I'm like, what are we talking about? At least like 3 times, right? So I just don't. Something is not adding up here.
Yeah.
And like you said, there has been multiple situations of this in the NBA as well, where something's going on with Rudy Gobert and you're like, all right, someone is BSing somewhere here. And more often than not, in times prior, I think that we've seen it be Rudy at times. He's kind of a commonality with a lot of these.
Yeah, a lot of the time. And the thing that makes me believe the coach even more is it worked. Like, the coach was right. Yabusele's been going crazy. France has never looked better than they have in these games. They just beat the FIBA World Cup champions in Germany. to me, the logic is there. The proof is in the pudding. He was correct. I don't think he has any reason to lie to this, just like you said. And to me, this is clearly Rudy Gobert just trying to save face. And I'm glad that reporting has came out that has shown to the contrary. And we will see how that shakes out with the gold medal match again being tomorrow at noon. I'm not sure. Let me check if that's noon our time or if that's noon. I
can tell you
Eastern
right
time.
now. It is at 12:30 our time.
Our time.
Pacific
Beautiful.
Standard.
Love that. So you have 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. You can see France, Rudy Gobert, and probably not Rudy Gobert. You can see Victor Wembanyama though, and Gershon Yabusele. But you might not see Rudy Gobert take on Team USA tomorrow at 12:30. Definitely don't want to miss that, and you're not going to want to miss this next segment we got where, yes, unfortunately, I tried to kick it off as far as we can, but we have to give a Brandon Aiyuk update. Where do things stand, and who are the teams that actually make sense for Brandon Aiyuk? And Diana Rossini has some interesting audio on what she thinks is obvious in the Brandon Aiyuk saga. You are listening to Stiles and Watkins right here, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the three-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings.
Here's a steal by Fox, the breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sacktown Sports and sacktownsports.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Seems as though casual players are always trying to balance the desire to hit the golf ball farther with shooting lower scores. Whether you hit a 270-yard drive or miss a 12-inch putt, they both count a stroke on your scorecard. Some of us will never hit the ball 270 yards, and trying normally leaves us well short and well right of the target. Seems as though improving our putting might be an easier way to shoot better scores. Putting is about confidence. It's about feeling the greens, seeing the line, visualizing the ball going in the hole, and making a confident stroke. Harvey Penick says, never, repeat, never allow yourself to think about what's riding on the putt, whether it's a major championship or just a 50-cent wager. Hit the putt as you've hit 10,000 putts in the past. Concentrate on imitating your final practice stroke, not on what will happen if you either miss it or make it. A positive mind will cure a lot of ills. Think about it. Really, think about it. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Hey, what's up? Kyle Draper for Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I've had my new Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV for about 6 months now, and it's still the best car driving experience that I've ever had. I got some news for you. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton doesn't just have cars or SUVs. They also have Sprinter vans, and they have special rates starting at 4.9% APR and an $8,000 discount on over 30 vans in stock. So head on down there right now to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton and check out their new Sprinter vans. Just a short drive right off the 5 in Stockton.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
If you've been on the American River, it's uphill, it's downhill. There's trails everywhere that you can walk, and it just makes you happy. And I couldn't walk, and it was terrible. I was turning into a real crab. I went to the Good Feet store, and I tried on the arch supports. I could not believe that I was not in pain. I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can do anything. My name's Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
The Good Feet Store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. They'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
Come on. Me and Brandon got this breakdancing on with paramedic playing. Oh my.
They are neat out here.
Stop it. This is incredible. For anyone who's not home or able to watch this, I heavily recommend at least you see what Olympic quality breakdancing is. No disrespect at all, but Brendan made a great point during the break. I forgot to show you the video too of Noah Lyles.
Oh yeah, I can find it.
But this is like, yes, they're doing fine. I can't, I know I said if Jayson asked the infamous question, we give you 4 years, what sport are you do you think you could compete in the Olympics? My answer was breakdancing. I will stick to it. They are definitely breakdancing. It's what you would expect to see, but I think that's also the problem. And the point that Brendan made during the break is, no disrespect, but you can go downtown in Sacramento and see some individuals that, might be enjoying themselves quite a bit that are doing this same exact routine. So
yeah,
it's not that it's not good. It's not that it's not impressive. It just doesn't feel like there is a different quality that you couldn't see somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Olympic level, but also I don't really know what I'm looking at and what to judge this based off of. I had some friends that did this in high school and it looks fairly similar. I guess is really all I'm saying. You could, I was in Vegas for Summer League and stopped to watch some street performers for a sec, and feels like I said similar to these. So we're saying no disrespect and being kind of disrespectful.
But maybe we're just giving respect to the street performers.
There you go.
Maybe it's more just we all need to have a collective better appreciation for those street performers because they're giving you Olympic quality moves. We just don't know it. We just didn't know it before. And so there you go.
The names are great though.
They are incredible. I was saying that it's the only Olympic event where you get gamer tags. Like the number one women's breakdancer here, her name is just 671.
Yeah.
We do not know what her actual name is. This is not Simone Biles or whatever. This is just 671. And who was the other one? It was
Kate is who she's against here.
Just Kate?
Just Kate.
Oh, at least it's a name.
Yeah.
What we had, maybe Equanimous can be in this one
exactly
as well. So definitely interesting this breakdancing in the Olympics. I believe this is the first time they've ever included breakdancing in the Olympics, and I kind of wouldn't be upset if this is the last time. I don't know I feel like we can find something that's just a little bit more Olympic-y than breakdancing.
So I'm looking at this Noah Lyles entrance.
Yes. Oh my
this is ridiculous.
He ran an entire So Brendan, he ran the 100 or no, this is the 200.
Uh-huh.
He probably ran an extra 200 just in the pre.
Right. He does it he does his whole jump to get into the air. You get some good air
high.
And you could tell that the fans there appreciate it. And I think that it's a fun sportsmanship aspect to kind of just, play it up a little bit.
Yes.
If I'm some of the other competitors, I'm like, hey,
I cannot wait to gas this fool.
Yeah. And then after the fact, you're in there sitting on a wheelchair looking all distraught. And it's like, okay, if you're feeling
crazy 2 minutes from
it is wild. And sometimes there are certain guys that just need to do that to hype themselves up.
Yeah.
But so maybe he's just trying to get past it because he's not feeling great. That's not going to help, though.
It's definitely not going to help, like you said. I mean, you can maybe make the argument, like you said, maybe he's trying to mask his illness and look like everything's routine. But at the same time, you probably should know yourself. And if that's going to tire you out because you are not feeling 100%.
One other thing I found.
It's okay to look a little wounded.
Real quick here, 4x100 meter, right?
Yes.
Noah Lyles did not participate in this because of what was going on.
Because of the COVID situation.
He got asked at the World Relays, I guess actually that this is in spring when this was asked, if he saw Canada as a threat in the 4x100 in Paris. He said, who? And he laughed about it. And people can go take a look at the results of Canada compared to USA if they want.
That sounds like Brendan Nunez yesterday talking about Team Serbia and their chances to take down Team USA. He said, who? Nikola who? Jovic? No, not concerned about that one at all. let's get into this Brandon Aiyuk stuff so we can say that we did it and cross our T's and dot our I's.
Sure.
Because apparently you can't be a sports show these days without mentioning Brandon Aiyuk and what is going on with this situation. And again, just for everybody, I can just upfront say there is not really any significant update when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk. And you had Diana Rossini earlier today release a podcast. Diana Rossini is now with The Athletic. She was with ESPN for quite some time, has a podcast with former QB Chase Daniel called Scoop City, in which she, as the title says, reveals a lot of scoops that she has found throughout her reporting across the entire NFL. This is what she had to say about Brandon Aiyuk in the New England Patriots situation and why Brandon Aiyuk didn't want to play for the New England Patriots. Here's Diana Rossini.
The New England situation. You're telling me they offered him $32 million to go there, and they had trade compensation figured out. Brandon Aiyuk said, nope, not going there. This is the third receiver for New England that they've missed out on in the past 2 years. Why don't guys want to go to New England? Was it the Belichick thing? Was it the quarterback play? Was it just the media portrayal? I don't get it. They can't get a star receiver there, and they need help desperately.
They do. And I do believe that all the situations are different. I can speak to the Aiyuk situation, and that was just the lack of confidence at quarterback. He didn't believe that they're set up for success right now. Think about how hard that has to be for him to walk away from a team that is probably going to go back to the Super Bowl again. To say, you know what, when you have to figure there's probably a lot of players who would have signed with New England to make that personal investment to get the big payday. But for him, he wants both. And it's obvious what he's looking for here, which is a team that can compete over him making the most amount of money. Now,
I want to focus on that last thing that Diana Rossini just said.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. She really is the best when it comes to getting these kind of scoops and things like that. She is very, very inside. And as you can tell by this setup, there is a very large but coming here from me. And again, as I say, no disrespect all the time, here it comes. I don't understand how you could say it is very obvious to her that, quote, Brandon Aiyuk wants a team that can compete over making the most money. If I'm not mistaken, Brandon Aiyuk is currently on a team that does nothing but win games except for the Super Bowl. This entire time. I do not understand how you can come out there and say that it is clear that it is not money that is his driving motivation. It is playing for a successful team, because clearly it's all of it. He wants it all. We've talked about it countless times. I'm so sick of talking about it, but it is very clear that Brandon Aiyuk wants it all. He wants to clearly have a good quarterback. That is very important, as Diana reports there, that he turned down New England specifically because he did not have confidence in their quarterback situation, which is interesting. Clearly isn't a fan of Drake May. He also has to go to a situation that can afford him, that can pay him the most money, because New England was willing to pay him, I think, $32 million was the wording. Clearly that's not the most important. And he also has to, from the Niners side, they have to be willing to make the deal itself as well. They want a receiver back. So I tried to look into who are the teams out there that have a good quarterback that Brandon Aiyuk would be willing to play for. This team could afford Brandon Aiyuk. That was the toughest part of this. I honestly don't even know how the NFL, you can manipulate cap and things like that. That's the part that we're going to focus the least on, is who can actually afford him, because in the NFL, it kind of feels like you can acquire somebody and then figure the rest out later. You have to have an expendable receiver to give the 49ers. Reports came out yesterday that even in the Steelers negotiation, they are searching for a third team because the Steelers aren't willing to budge on George Pickens, and the Niners are adamant about wanting a receiver. So we're really going to focus on who has a good quarterback and who has an expendable receiver. First and foremost, the San Francisco 49ers have it all. They can afford Brandon Aiyuk if they wanted to. They have a good enough quarterback, and they obviously don't need to have an expendable receiver because he's already on the team. The Miami Dolphins, that doesn't make sense. They have a good quarterback, but they already are paying Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They have no problems with either of those two. They're not going to look to ship either of those off. Tampa Bay, possibly, but again, kind of runs into the same issue. Why would they want to get rid of one of Chris Godwin or Mike Evans? It makes sense why maybe they would want to go younger for a guy like Baker Mayfield, but I just don't think that Tampa Bay has any issues with Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. Cincinnati, as I said this morning, I learned that Taj Boyd is apparently no longer on the Bengals. I thought that was the most obvious one for him to go to, as they might have two expendable receivers in T. Higgins and Taj Boyd. Again, Taj Boyd not there anymore. Now it's just Higgins and Chase. Again, I think they run into the problem of why would the Bengals want to give up on T. Higgins or Jamar Chase? Houston does kind of make a little bit of sense. You have D'Amico Ryans, not that D'Amico had his hand in the offense at all, but at least there's some familiarity there. You have a young QB in CJ Stroud, so maybe you could afford to pay Aiyuk as much as you want. And you have Tank Dell and Nico Collins as well, two good receivers that I would think either of those two the 49ers would want. Houston, to me, is the strongest case for making a possible run at Aiyuk. I just don't know if they can afford to have Brandon Aiyuk. That's the only question I have for Houston. And then the only other team I can come up with is Seattle, that has two expendable receivers, or one at least. They have two receivers, making one of them possibly expendable in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And I just don't think the Niners are going to make a deal with with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I don't think Nate wants DK Metcalf either. So I say all this to say I can't find the team. I can't find the team. Actually, I did find the team. It's the San Francisco 49ers that has everything that Brandon Aiyuk is looking for. But it doesn't seem like if Brandon Aiyuk is going to continue to hold out for the perfect situation, I just don't think it's ever going to show up. And for that reason, I just think he might just end up being on the Niners, and we just all wasted our collective breath this entire month on trying to figure out what team this guy's going to go to.
That would not surprise me at all. I think you did a great job laying that out. I know you spent a decent amount of time this morning kind of theory crafting some of these things. And to your point, like, the Niners make all the sense. You want to be on a good team. You want to get paid. The Niners can do all of it. It's just to what extent are we talking about getting paid, obviously, here. And it makes me wonder that at some point, you probably are going to have to settle. You're not going to get everything you want. So my question is, settling meaning, all right, fine, I'm going to take the money and go to the Patriots.
Yes.
Or is settling like, fine, I'll take the 28 or whatever that San Francisco is worth offering me here. And so I would guess that it's the latter. Like, you already could have done going to the Patriots if that's what you would have preferred. But when it comes down to it, like you said, and like you laid out great there, the Niners have it all. And so maybe they're not quite meeting your number, but you can't have everything, clearly. And maybe some team will emerge and prove us wrong there. I think your Houston shout isn't bad, but more likely than not, it seems like the Niners are still very much a part of this, and it could just all be gone after a few weeks or however long this may take. For your sake, I hope it's this weekend.
I sure do too. And I will say, if Brandon Aiyuk ends up staying on the 49ers long term, I will not apologize for my distaste for this franchise if Brandon Aiyuk continues to be a 49er, because everything, all the time that we have wasted this month on Brandon Aiyuk has just been exhausting. And if it just goes in a full circle, I'm not going to be able to handle it very well. Coming up next, we are going to discuss Brandon Podziemski and the Warriors' future. We had Anthony Slater on earlier to talk a bit about it. We go a little bit further and talk about Jonathan Kuminga's want for a new max extension. Should the Warriors give it to him, and does he deserve it? We discuss that next, right here. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, During Naturewood Home Furnishings Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Hi, my son's teacher emailed his back-to-school list. He needs crayons and a comp book for every subject.
Okay, no problem. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school.
Oh, now they're saying he needs folders and glue.
You got it.
And markers?
Of course.
Oh, geez.
Can we get a card, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of the spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
The case of one Brandon Podziemski. It's a confusing one.
Very.
And, it continues to go. My questions on Brandon Podziemski, that is, continue to grow. We talked with Anthony Slater a little bit earlier in the show. If you didn't get to hear that, that was at about 10:30. You can either rewind on your YouTube live stream, or it should be cut about now. You can check it out over on our YouTube channel. Had some really, really interesting stuff. We asked him about the Kings defense. We asked him about the Kuminga extension and what he thinks about that. We will give our thoughts on the potential Jonathan Kuminga extension here in about a minute. We also asked him about Brandon Podziemski and the amount of pressure that Golden State is putting on Brandon Podziemski. Again, reports came out yesterday that the Warriors really didn't offer anything substantial to the Utah Jazz when it came to Lauri Markkanen trades. Of course, you would guess that Brandon Podziemski and or Jonathan Kuminga would have been involved in those talks. All reports are indicating that Warriors were never willing to throw either of those two on the table and specifically really covet Brandon Podziemski and his future. And I will say it's very, very, and it's one of the reasons why you and I know, have a ton of respect for Anthony Slater, but why just in general, I think he's one of the best out there, especially, you know, as a writer is great, but as a radio guest, honestly, is he does give his honest answers. Even though he does cover the team, he does not have many biases at all. And he was very willing to say, you know, in the clip we played yesterday, I didn't think Brandon Podziemski was going to be as good as he is. and is willing to admit when he's wrong on something like that. But he is also a little bit hesitant to say that Brandon Podziemski will be an all-star, much like the Warriors hope he can. Brendan, this is my question to you. Me and Alan go back and forth, not necessarily in terms of being on opposing sides of Brandon Podziemski arguments, but we go back and forth on just what exactly is Brandon Podziemski. What did you see from his rookie season? Not to answer your question or my question for you, but I know he obviously led the NBA in charges. I think that's an incredibly positive sign, but what about his game, I guess, impressed you in his first season? And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Anthony Slater. Like, if he is going to be an all-star, what areas of his game need to reach that level in order for him to get there?
Yeah, I would say that I think it was a very good rookie year for him, obviously. Coming out of Santa Clara, I really liked his game. I remember talking with Bierman at the time of the draft and telling him, no, I think that this guy is going to be pretty good for the Warriors, that they may have gotten a good pick. And so far, he looks like everything that you would want. 5th in Rookie of the Year voting last year, and knocks down a great percentage of his threes, 38.5% on just over 3 a game. Free throws, you don't really love. He's not getting to the line very often. 1.1 per game. It is a total of 79 attempts
Keegan Murray
last season. It is, which you don't love to see, and sometimes can be an indicator of other things. If you're talking about potentially getting to the point where this guy could be in a conversation for max, like, you need to have a little bit more reliability, I think. And sometimes that finishing, it speaks to, it's one of those guys that likes the floater rather than fully getting to the rim.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
Tyrese
think
Halliburton, if you will.
Exactly. He knows how to take charges. So I think he also knows how to avoid committing them, which can do, is exactly what we're talking about with the free throws, not fully getting to the rim, but still managing to finish well. I think that the playmaking is interesting, and where there could continue to be another step. Obviously, getting Steph Curry off the ball is really important for Golden State's offense over there, but I think the handle's got to come along a little bit more. If we're going to get to some self-creation really on another level here, where we're talking about this guy potentially being an all-star one day, which I would not say that I'm there, but I could see how some people could talk themselves into it. I think that handle is a really big aspect of how he could take another step as a creator.
So again, a bit of an unfair question here, but again, if we're talking about an all-star, what do you think his numbers look like if he is going to be an all-star? Because his numbers are a bit, not strange, but it does just speak of a role player. I mean, 9 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, which is fantastic for a guard. Absolutely. 3.7 assists. How is he not just going to be a Bruce Brown, a Josh Hart, maybe at bet? And I think I said this yesterday, if he becomes Alex Caruso, I'm throwing a parade if I'm the Warriors. So the fact that they want him to be more, or expect him to be more than that, and Anthony Slater hilariously points out, Brandon Podziemski also heavily believes in himself, which is why the Warriors really are willing to bet on him. Like, what kind of numbers do you think he can put up in an all-star situation? Do you see him potentially getting 20 points a game, or is this going to be somebody who it's like, it's not really about his output, it's just you watch the games, and much like a Derek White almost, he just impacts winning at that level?
Yeah, Derek White was a guy that came to mind a little bit. I'm still not fully sold on the defense, like the way some people seem to be talking about it. I think the charges are great.
It's a step.
DeMarcus
Cousins was also great at taking charges. Wouldn't describe him as a great defender.
For sure. So I think that if we're talking 20 plus, that's got to be post Steph Curry era. And I think that's what a lot of this is about. And that kind of sucks, because
what does that
you
do
need
for
to
Steph
optimize Steph.
Yeah.
And I do think the other side of that coin is, we talk about them trying to play both timelines and how that hasn't really worked out. They did win a championship while they were doing it, but it didn't really have anything to do with the young guys outside of Wiggins. Not much from Kuminga at that point. I believe that was prior to Podziemski being on the team as well. So I think that we could get to a 21 6-6 or something if we're talking like total peak of his career.
But
and again, post
Steph
Steph Curry, because it's just hard to see this guy getting up 20 plus in my mind while Steph is still on that roster.
Yeah, you present a great point there. Again, the Warriors winning that championship, but it wasn't with their youth at all. And it does seem like they are now leaning into this youth movement quite a bit, with Trace Jackson-Davis joining Brandon Podziemski in that rookie class, but also they still have Moses Moody on their roster. And we're going to talk about Jonathan Kuminga next, and his wanting for a max extension. Again, is he worth it? Should the Warriors give it to him? And is this really the direction that the Warriors should take in the final years of Steph Curry's career. After the amazing game he had the other day, I don't see how you can't try and maximize his championship window. We talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
It's a toss to McCaffrey, a cutback run 30, breaks 340. McCaffrey midfield. McCaffrey 40, 30, 20, and toasted all the way down to the 3-yard line on the first play of the game. CMC Dynamite!
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence dyne test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist? Huh, you don't say. Oh, I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the three-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings.
Here's a steal by Fox, the breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com.
Whitey here reminding you that not all gas grills are created equal. Bring out all the delicious flavors in your grilled meats with the amazing Napoleon Prestige and Prestige Pro line of outdoor cookers. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned me into a grilling pro with features other grills cannot match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Made with premium stainless steel that boasts quality and a lifetime warranty. I may never want to cook indoors again. Napoleon grills and accessories are now available at your nearby Amy's, Ace Hardware in Sacramento, and now El Dorado.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Harmony, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Take it on the local level.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sacktown Sports. live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
I'm feeling the wave. You will hear Fly Away, I assume, coming back from the next break. Ward on the Sack Chat put us on and said, you guys see that Quavo and Lenny Kravitz song you were laughing at? It's in Madden 25. So we will play that little snippet for you coming back from the next break. You're not going to want to miss that if you didn't hear it the first time. You know, it's just not everything needs to be remaked. And,
it's a crazy duo.
It's pretty insane.
Quavo's out here with a bunch of random people. All of a sudden, he's with Lana Del Rey now, and I'm like, what is happening?
It's a great question. I think we're all trying to figure out what's happening, and yeah, we'll talk about that a bit in the next segment. Also, coming up, either in the next segment or the segment after that, we will talk about Cam Johnson and the Nets holding firm on what they want for Cam Johnson and the Kings' level of interest and where they currently stand in the Kyle Kuzma sweepstakes. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points had some words about where the Kings stand on both of those guys, but we said we would talk a little bit about Jonathan Kuminga and his possible max extension that he will be asking for this morning. Again, news kind of broke or leaked, I guess you could maybe say, that Jonathan Kuminga is seeking a $224 million max extension from the Golden State Warriors. That is from an article from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. We all know Jake Fisher does wonderful work. He wrote in there, quote, Jonathan Kuminga is entering the final year of his rookie deal, where the word around the league from various sources is Kuminga and his representation are looking for a full max extension, which, as we just talked about with Brandon Ingram and Jamal Murray and whoever, like if you're not an absolute all-star, Scotty Barnes type of guy for Toronto, Lauri Markkanen for Utah, you know, Trae Young for Atlanta back in the day, because look at what happened to Trae Young in Atlanta since then. It's really hard to get that number. That is, again, from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports saying that Jonathan Kuminga is seeking a max extension from the Golden State Warriors. When asked kind of about Jonathan Kuminga's future, Joe Lacob said, I'm not going to get into specifics like that. There's no way, but I don't want to give up on him or on JK. We love these guys, and Moses Moody, Trace Jackson Davis. These are good young players. That was Joe Lacob with Tim Kawakami of The Athletic saying he did not want to trade Brandon Podziemski or Jonathan Kuminga. And Brendan, first and foremost, before we get into if Kuminga is worth that money or if the Warriors should give him that money, are you a fan? Because I do think Kuminga, Wiseman, and Moody, to me, represent the Warriors trying to do the two timeline thing. Now that we're deep enough into this where Kuminga is up for another or for his first extension, this was not the right path. You see that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to say that it's hard to argue that it is. You know, like Paul George would have made a whole lot of sense for this team. Obviously, they made calls about, I mean, it's freaking LeBron James, but like you're clearly trying to do something.
There's a lot of Giannis rumors for a long time.
Giannis, yeah, I think Zach LaVine has been floated around a little bit, even though he's a little bit more of a polarizing guy, I think. But you have to optimize what you have with Steph Curry. And if you are either going to just pick a lane, essentially, right? Which is what we've been saying the whole time. And exactly what you're asking here. And I just think that Kuminga specifically, even more so to me, there is a lot of value there. It's very hard for that guy to get even more of a chance to develop alongside a Steph Curry and a Draymond Green. And sure, you saw a lot of progress last season.
Steve Kerr don't want to see him develop either. He's like, we want to win.
For sure. And you did see a bit of a jump from him last year, going up to 16 points from just under 10 in the year prior. But he's playing 26 minutes a night, which is not bad, but also not exactly where I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy's a max player. Yeah. You know, there are some no questions. And typically a max should be kind of a no question. And there are guys that are close enough to deserving it that you kind of just have to give it to them as the home team that is able to offer that. But I just don't think Kuminga is that one. And I think that he should absolutely be part of some of these trade conversations. Yeah. We don't know to what extent he may or may not have been, but that should not stop you from getting Paul George.
Yeah.
And even Lauri Markkanen, like, because you could have got him on that extension as well if you were willing to pony up. And, you know, if it was really the fact that it's Podziemski and Kuminga and Moody, and sure, and obviously every draft pick that literally is ever imaginable in very typical Trader Danny Ainge fashion. But I just don't think that Kuminga can be the one to stop you from going and getting a star when you still have a guy that can be a top 5, top 10 player in the league, even though I guess to Slater seemed a little bit like Curry needs to prove it still, which was an interesting wrinkle in there.
I definitely thought that was interesting as well, made my ears perk up. And to an extent, when you lay it out like that, it does kind of feel like the Warriors are yet again choosing to live in two timelines by banking on Brandon Podziemski, by potentially banking in on Jonathan Kuminga long-term. Feels like, again, they are saying, well, we can have the best of both worlds. We can have Steph Curry. We can have Draymond Green. We can compete, and we can still develop our young guys and hopefully usher in a new era of Warriors basketball. But I think you and I both agree that that's just not how things are done. A lot easier said than actually done. And a lot of the times you do have to pick a lane. You either have to build around your young players and unfortunately move on from stars like Steph Curry, like Draymond Green, like you already have with a Klay Thompson, and lean into that youth movement, or you've got to get rid of the young players, get rid of the picks, and say, look, we are trying to maximize Steph Curry's championship window. We need veterans. We need people who know what they're doing and can win some championships. So very interesting that the Warriors, again, seem to be picking both timelines, and it seems like when you pick both, you're really actually choosing neither, even though they won all the way back in 2020. And when we asked Anthony Slater specifically about what he thought of the Kuminga extension, seemed a little bit hesitant, said that he definitely doesn't expect that to be a max extension. I believe he said meet them in the middle somewhere. He said he believes in the $30 million range, which even feels a bit heavy to me with what we've seen from Kuminga so far. He said to look at the Josh Giddey future extension as well. That hasn't came yet. And said that he does not expect it to be a Franz Wagner or Scotty Barnes type of deal. Brendan, now I'll ask the question. I mean, you already answered it with the is he worth it, but do you think the Warriors end up leaning into this double timeline and actually give Kuminga an extension? We won't say the $224 million max extension, but do you see him signing with the Warriors long term?
Yeah, totally just guessing here, not reporting this in any way. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up reaching restricted free agency. And
that would be the route that I would want to go if I'm Golden State, right?
Yeah, and
let the market dictate.
I would bet that he might want to do that as well if he's looking at the number that Golden State's offering. Like, obviously, I'm sure that he would want to just get the max from Golden State. Yeah. But say that's not on the table, which I wouldn't expect it to be, then, you know, let's go prove to you. You're essentially betting on yourself to have another good season, which also inherently some risk involved there for sure. Golden State's been a little bit up and down at times throughout the years, so not saying that couldn't backfire. It absolutely could. But if you believe in yourself, the way that Brandon Podziemski believes in himself, if Kuminga's got the same type of confidence, which seems to be the case, then go bet on yourself. Go reach restricted free agency, see what the market lies. But I'm sure that also agent out there taking a look at like what teams are projected to have money next year. Honestly, don't know that off the top of my head. There's a chance that you can already predict the market might be a little bit dry with who could have those sort of finances available next year. So if I had to guess, I would think that there's going to be a difference on where they land here. And you get a, Brandon Aiyuk situation essentially just down the street in San Francisco.
Please no.
I know.
I can't deal with two of them at once. I just asked you this about Brandon Podziemski. I'll ask you about a Kuminga as well. If he is going to reach this all-star potential, which I would say at the very least Kuminga has shown 16 points a game or whatever it was last season. You've seen some, he has pretty freakish athletic traits. If Jonathan Kuminga is going to be an all-star near that caliber, what do you think in his game needs to improve? Not necessarily number specific, but what areas of his game do you think he kind of needs to refine in order to get to a more consistent level?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one is going to be the three-point shot, right? Sure. 32.1% last year on about 2.2 a game. Your inconsistency is a little bit, though, because year prior, 37%, which obviously is a little bit more of what you want. You go back to rookie season, 33.6%. So got to kind of figure out where you land in that aspect, and some growth of getting to the line, I think that he's gotten better at throughout his time in the league. Percentages have gone up there as well. So you can easily see the finishing, and I could see a role like similar to what the best version of Andrew Wiggins looks like, and even then that's probably underselling it. But also Wiggins is a guy that I think on his best nights looks like one of the best players in the league. It's just a bit about consistency. So I think that that's kind of the point I'm at with Kuminga now as well. And, almost a little Jaylen Brown-ish at times. Like as you've mentioned a couple times, was a big Celtics guy.
At one point.
And Jaylen Brown is the one that, there's always only one that's the same age as you. And that was Jaylen Brown for me. And watching his journey of becoming the player that he has now, when he was like typical deer in headlights early on, he's fallen all over the floor, and just a obviously extreme athlete that I think needed to learn to slow down a little bit sometimes, get a little bit better body control in certain ways, and pick your spots and moments a little bit better. And I think that that's the exact same thing that what would be the next steps for Kuminga. But obviously Jaylen Brown becoming a ridiculous three-point shooter after that wasn't really the case at Cal helped his trajectory a lot too.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Jaylen Brown one is a really good shout. I mean, like you laid out perfectly, like just the freak athlete that Jaylen Brown was, but like was just very raw. Like you said, I mean, Jaylen Brown used to stumble all over the place. He would drive the lane. People still have questions about his left hand. I definitely think that's the right comparison for a guy like Jonathan Kuminga.
It's somewhere between the two, right? Somewhere between Wiggins and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously a lot of difference in those various outcomes. And if you get to Jaylen Brown level, you're worth max money. But I just don't feel confident that we're on that trajectory right now, even if it's in the cards.
Yeah, I always forget that the Warriors even still have Andrew Wiggins, just with how he
I guess
has
they
skipped
do.
out the past 2 years of the last part of the season. I know last year he didn't miss as much time as he missed 2 years ago. But
Not playing for Canada,
which was allegedly a Warriors decision, or the Warriors had some impact, which is definitely interesting. But doesn't seem like the Warriors really know what they want to do with a guy like Andrew Wiggins either. I'm surprised that he wasn't a name that they threw into the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes, as well as that. Just not really sure what their future plans are with an Andrew Wiggins. Coming up next, we're going to talk about what the Nets' plan is with Cam Johnson and why that price isn't going down anytime soon. And then again, where the Kings are currently at with one Kyle Kuzma. You're listening to Stiles and Watkins right here, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find De'Aaron Fox is Sacktown Sports.
Spins away from the defender in the paint. Soft floater. That's a great play by De'Aaron Fox.
Hey, Sacramento. It's De'Aaron Fox, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
I'm a very active person that likes to move around and go. The pain I was in was really excruciating. It was actually debilitating. I was basically heading towards a sedentary lifestyle. I had really tried everything, but I quickly lost hope with all of the things that we had tried, and that's what led me to the Good Feet store. And when I found the Good Feet system, it really just changed everything. It brought me back to life. I have my active lifestyle back.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
I kind of like it.
It's fine. It's fine. If it weren't such a popular song, it would be fine. But it's just didn't need to be touched. Really. I mean, I'm glad. I will say I'm at least glad Lenny Kravitz is like involved. Like he is in the video. He's clearly like given the clearance. This is not just like some random rapper getting a cleared on samples and just completely like ruin a song. This is actually involving one Lenny Kravitz. So I guess in that sense it's okay, but it's just a little like you don't think this is like a little corny?
It is.
Because it's Quavo.
It is. Yeah. No, it sounds like a song you'd hear in Madden, which apparently is going to be the case.
It sounds like it's made for Madden.
And typically that is a little.
It might have been.
Yeah. I can see it.
It's also Quavo doing the hook too. Is that not Quavo singing as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Like maybe just let Lenny take that part. You know?
Does Quavo have his own brand of alcohol?
That's. I mean,
clearly advertising an alcohol in this music video.
I'm sure he does, but I can check.
It might be Lenny's.
No, yeah, he's got a. It looks like he does.
Yes, White. It's cognac. It's a cognac called White.
I'll just say this too. Shout out.
It's White
Zoe
X
Kravitz.
Cognac by Quavo. Sorry, what'd you say, Nick?
Just shout out Zoe Kravitz.
I will second
That's all I'm gonna
I'll
say.
tell you
That's
that.
all I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
absolutely.
I'll leave it.
I might need to get educated.
Zoe
I
Kravitz.
think it's about
She's a
time.
great actress. That's what I'll say. Big Little Lies, fantastic show.
Oh, I see,
Heavily
I see.
recommend.
She's in Mad Max. too.
She's
She doesn't
super
talk a
vibey.
lot.
She
Yeah.
like looks like she is like the just like
And she's Catwoman. Am I?
she is. Yes, she
Yeah.
is in the Batman, right?
Yes.
With
I like that one.
with I almost called him
Pattinson.
Hunter Patterson.
Robert
Our
Pattinson.
With Robert Pattinson, and yeah, shout out Hunter Patterson who joined us yesterday on the program.
It's on
Again,
YouTube.
You can check that out.
Yeah.
Yes, over at the YouTube.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick?
I
Have you,
hope so.
have you heard the Shador Sanders, the Perfect Timing song? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no
What?
clue.
You guys, neither of you
I
guys
would
know
love to
about
be
this?
educated.
I have
What? It is
no
so
idea.
funny, and I thought that it would be in college football. Nate, yeah, you should try to find it. It is so
I'm
funny.
already on.
Yeah.
And there's a game where Shador is playing against Travis Hunter right when college football was coming out,
Okay.
and he ends up hitting a game winner. Hilariously enough, catches it with Travis in the game. Instantly pulls up on his phone and starts playing the song.
No,
It is
way.
so
Oh
funny.
My God.
And it's one of those first time you hear it, you're not gonna like it. I'll tell you that. But over time, I'm like, this ain't bad.
There is a song I played it when I put it on my Instagram story when I won the softball championship. Ron Artest Champions. It was on.
Oh
it was
my.
on a 2K.
That is a
I
throwback.
don't even know which 2K it is, but it is. It's a song that is. I wouldn't say it's so bad it's good, but it's not a good song, but it is catchy. And then you're like, oh, this is Ron Artest,
Yeah.
and it makes it okay. This
Meta
is,
world
this is
peace.
incredible.
You guys-
Panda
Yes.
something.
You guys heard Greg Olson's rap on the Miami?
Yes.
Oh,
Honestly,
that one's so funny.
Honestly,
brother. Not
He-
bad.
he
It's
did a
not
good
bad.
job. He did like.
It's just crazy. It's Greg Olson that you see on.
It's
you know,
pretty awesome.
He seems to hate it when
It's
he gets
really
asked about it.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It is really hilarious. Well, he
Yeah.
doesn't say the most
Yeah.
2024 okay things in the rap, but
I'm here for it.
he's got it's
He tried.
for the time. You got to give it was a different time.
I wish
All
I
these
could
athletes doing side quests out here. You
They're
know?
trying.
They make you do it in 2K.
Everyone wants to be Marvin Bagley out here. Not everyone can do it.
Not everybody can do it.
Not
True,
everyone
man.
can double it up. You
What
know,
they
it
say-
cost Willie Cauley-Stein his career. He wanted to be a
Stop
painter,
it.
and instead, he should have been a basketball player. But yeah,
What do they say? All the basketball players want to be rappers, and all the
yeah.
rappers want to be basketball players.
And nothing has ever been more true.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
that is the biggest fact that there is in the world. Every rapper wants to be a basketball player. Every basketball player wants to be a rapper. I
Shaq's
don't
the
know
only
why
one to do
is.
it.
Shaq is.
Dame.
And, Dame to an
It's
extent
not
for
the
sure.
same.
It's kind of not like Shaq is a legitimate DJ. Like
Yeah.
he gets booked not like just in America, not just in Miami or anything. Like Homeboy is international. If I'm not mistaken, he did like the really, really big EDM Tomorrowland or whatever it's called. Like Shaq does real deal festivals. So yeah, Shaq is definitely
DJ Diesel.
in many ways. Yeah, DJ Diesel.
I do kind of like the Dame Lillard ones for what it's worth. Like,
I like the songs
he's
for
a very
sure.
much a lyrical guy, and you
Yeah.
hear the
Oh,
West
big
Coast
time.
influence. one of the funniest songs goes something along the lines of "I'm all about my checks, no Nike," because he's an Adidas guy. Had to throw that in.
And
there.
that's Dame.
That is Dame.
So ironic he lives in Portland, where
Nike
or
is
was in Portland.
Right. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Obviously.
Yeah, they probably weren't super thrilled by that. Maybe it's a good move by Adidas to hop on that.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
110%.
100%.
Bud.
Don't do that. Don't do
I'll
that.
tell you later, by the way. I realized who it is that calls us that.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? I
guess
cannot
not
wait
right
to
there.
hear that. I don't think we have enough time in this segment to get into Cam Johnson. I don't want to disrespect Cam Johnson, but I will read where things stand with Kyle Kuzma as it is, and I can read it in this short amount of time that we have in this segment because there's not, again, much like Brandon Aiyuk, not much of an update, but was mentioned in Brett Siegel's most recent article. Of course, Kyle Kuzma, this is again Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Of course, Kyle Kuzma remains a focal point in the trade conversation for the Washington Wizards. The asking price there has not changed. At least 2 first-round picks. To this point, it is unknown if the Wizards have received this type of offer from any team for Kyle Kuzma, but the Sacramento Kings did show heavy interest in him before utilizing their 13th pick in last June's draft to take Devin Carter, who's expected to miss a good chunk of his rookie season with a shoulder injury. Even though they could operate as sellers this upcoming year, the Raptors are another team to keep tabs on regarding Kyle Kuzma. Brendan, just a simple question. Should the Kings be willing to go up to that 2 first-round pick threshold for one Kyle Kuzma, or should they hold on and maybe if they are going to pay 2 first-round picks, wait for a guy that they really, really want?
Yeah, I would say probably the latter. I think 2 is a little high for me with Kuzma. I actually like what he brings to the Kings, but I kind of think that the addition of DeMar makes it a little less appealing to me.
Less urgent, I think.
Yeah. And he's just not a great shooter. Like similarly to DeMar, they can do it, and there's definitely more volume on Kuzma's end for sure there. But I wonder of defensively, I keep holding on to, we know this guy can be a good defender. We saw him do it in the bubble championship, but that's a while ago that we're talking about at this point, and you have to embrace it. So the other aspect that I think's been pointed out to me is a potential concerning aspect of bringing him to Sacramento is this equal opportunity offense. And could he be somebody that decides to call his own number a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
And what would that mean for Keegan Murray's development, for example? Already have a little bit of those questions with DeMar DeRozan being on the team now. So I think it's a little weird. I wouldn't probably do 2 first-round picks, but I don't know if you caught Anthony Slater. It seemed like he was saying that like maybe 1 good first-rounder could get you in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that this is all fluid and potentially price goes down as there's less years on the contract, or if they get a little bit more desperate to move on.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be big on how Washington performs next season. We being me, Alan and I, really had some questions on what is Washington doing this offseason? Like, they bring in Jonas Valanciunas. They do trade Denny Advia for Malcolm Brogdon. Like, it kind of seems like they might be trying to win or at least not be terrible. So, it kind of is a weird situation that's going over there in Washington. Doesn't seem like they're quite leaning into the youth movement like they probably should. So
in the year where there's like generational talents in the draft, but okay.
Seems like a very Wizards thing to do, ignore that Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey, I think, is the other name that's at the top of the draft boards right now that everybody seems to be very, very excited about. Great point by you, Brendan, that, the Wizards just seem to be opting out of being in there, or maybe not. We don't know. I guess that's the whole point, is we might have to see how the season actually plays out for the Wizards to know what that Kyle Kuzma asking price truly is. We do seem to know what the asking price for one Cam Johnson is, and again, doesn't seem like that one will be moving anytime soon when it comes to what is being asked to move for him. We get into that a little bit next, and then maybe going to talk some Steph Curry with his amazing performance yesterday. Even I have to admit, Wardell really did his thing. We talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They believe it's all about people and choices. Their goal is to find the car that fits your lifestyle. With their huge inventory of models, they've got the right car and more importantly, at the right price every time. Experience for yourself why their customers drive away smiling. Discover the difference because it's not just about the car, it's also about the people. Experience the Sacramento Dodge Jeep and Chrysler difference off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks, or you can find them online, sacsuperstore.com.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, during Naturewood Home Furnishings' Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Stiles and Watkins. Last time I'll be saying this, but no Alan Stiles this week on the midday program. He's been holding it down all week in the morning slot for Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross, who have been on vacation. Whitey Gleason as well is on vacation. I think Draper held it down yesterday by himself. I believe he'll be doing that again today, so you want to stay tuned for that. The Drive Guys kick things off at 2:00 p.m.
Your and Styles reunion show is going to be must-see. Listen.
Why do you say that?
I know how much you guys miss each other. We were having a little powwow this morning.
Why do people keep saying that?
I can't wait because I'm not going to be here on Monday, but Tuesday, the three boys are back.
Brother. Yeah.
That's
Steph,
LeBron,
KD.
Oh my
Get
God.
ready. Oh my
God. It's insane.
it's going to be a movie. As, one Carl Anthony Towns.
It's more like Isaiah Thomas, Rudy Gay, and DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He's Isaiah Thomas, I take it.
Maybe even like Darren Collins.
Obviously.
Darren Collins.
One of us
Ray
gotta be
McCallum.
Darren Collins. It's like Ray McCallum, Ben McLemore, and Quincy Acey.
Oh, yeah.
Joining forces. Coast to Koofus in the building. The half hook from I don't know, from heaven, I guess. It's pretty nice. I don't know. Well, let's talk a little bit about Cam Johnson and where things stand with that. As we just talked about Kyle Kuzma and not much traction on that front. This is again from Brett Siegel in the same interview from Clutch Points, not the same interview, same article from Clutch Points. He writes here that the Nets have remained firm on their asking price of multiple first-round picks, sources said, with the thought being that Brooklyn won't be willing to give up their sharpshooter wing unless they are able to receive at least 2 valuable immediate first-round picks. Without Bridges, Johnson is going to be thrust into the role of being one of the Nets' main scoring weapons next to Cam Thomas. 28-year-old role, Cam Johnson that will be, is only set to increase, meaning his value will begin to skyrocket ahead of the trade deadline. Brett Siegel lists the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors, Orlando Magic, Los Angeles Lakers, and Golden State Warriors as teams that have been amongst the various ones that have held discussions about trading for Johnson this offseason. He sources that there has been no heavy traction on a deal throughout the month of July. Of course, I think a large part of that is because a lot of people are on their vacations right now and or dealing with some Olympic stuff. So that's why I think things have been pretty quiet for the time being. However, as people start to return back to their respective home locations, I guess, for their teams, I would guess that you're going to start to see rumors ramp it up yet again. I think it's an interesting point and probably a good one that Cam Johnson will get an increased role this season with Brooklyn, and that might lead to him showing a little bit more value. Does that concern you at all when it comes to the Kings' potential pursuit of Cam Johnson, that maybe he could potentially play himself out of it and the Kings might again be looking at the Brandon Ingrams, the Kyle Kuzmas, and the usual suspects? Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith market opens up a bit for them, but are you concerned at all that Cam Johnson might play his way out of contention for Sacramento?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call it concerning. I mean, you want him to be the best player that he can, and even if that were to eventually be in Sacramento, I think that whenever the development happens, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. I do think, obviously, it could mess with that trade market like you're talking about a little bit, but it's not like I could see things dramatically changing based on how he were to perform throughout the course of this season. He doesn't feel like a guy where it's like a very obvious, oh, well, if he took a jump here, he just already does a little bit of everything, and there's value in that. So I struggle to see him taking a leap to the point where it's an additional first-round pick that's part of this conversation. I think, if anything,
it's justifying the two, maybe.
Absolutely. So I think that is more than anything a good outcome. I think you'd rather see him play well and have that as an option that really could maybe help you jump into another level in the Western Conference, because if he plays worse, maybe lower value, but like at that point, how interested are you?
I think that's the interesting thing. As I'm looking at Cam Johnson's career numbers, it definitely presents the question. It like kind of screams it at me, actually. How do you kind of value or weigh the value of a guy like Cam Johnson, who I'm looking at his career, 11 points per game throughout his entire career, definitely has been better here these 2 seasons in Brooklyn at 14 a game. But how do you kind of weigh slash figure out the risk, I guess, of, okay, Cam Johnson maybe fits the role better because he's traditionally been that guy, but we're paying the same price that we would for Kyle Kuzma, who you might think is the more talented player and might have more available to his game, but hasn't been asked to be in that specific role. Is that kind of, if that makes sense, how do you kind of weigh, maybe a lesser player, but a player that fits that role versus a player who is more talented potentially and brings more scoring, but might not fit the role specifically that you want, but the asking price is going to be the same on both of those guys?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to not take talent in my mind, especially because it's like I expressed some of my what would be questions when it comes to Kuzma specifically in Sacramento, and even more so after the addition of DeMar DeRozan, obviously. But I still think you want to take the talented guy and then trust that your coaching staff is going to get the most out of them, that these other players will be able to figure it out between them. So like just 2 firsts sounds super unrealistic to me for
Honestly,
Cam
for
Johnson.
both of them,
yeah,
it makes me have some pause.
Yeah, like what team is close enough where that guy is the one that's putting them over the edge, and the Kings, if they were to be that team, it would be because of the current developments of the guys on the team rather than, and then just sliding in a clear need if that were to be the case. But 2 firsts just sounds crazy to me, specifically for Cam.
Yeah. Like I wonder, how stern they are on those 2.
Right.
Like, does it have to be unprotected? Does one of them have to be unprotected? Can both of them be protected? I think that changes things a lot, right? Like, I mean, it makes it a whole lot more difficult to trade. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you would have to spread the 2 picks out pretty far, which I don't think the Kings have the luxury of doing. I mean, they obviously have their pick currently tied up with Atlanta for at least another year.
Yeah.
I get confused as the years go
12
by.
protection next year.
Okay, perfect. This coming season, that is.
Yes.
Okay,
it
gotcha.
was top 14 last year. Kings barely end up keeping it. Which is an interesting wrinkle, by the way. I think Devin Carter's going to be a really, really good addition to this team when he eventually gets out there. But top 12 this coming season, top 10 in the year after, which at that point we're reaching 2026, 7?
Be 26.
Yeah,
the
not
26
yes.
draft.
And then after that point, it would turn into 2 second-round picks.
So if the Kings were to offer 2 first-round picks for any of these guys, the first one would have to be 27, is what you're saying.
And
then
it would have to be a swap, actually, because there's a chance that you don't have your 26. So with the step-in rule, you can't just give up your 27. Yeah, it's really 28. And you got the 2031 pick swap.
Yep.
So, but with that being a swap, I still think you could trade the other side of the swap. Right now you're giving up whatever the better pick is. You still have that worse pick.
Yes,
meaning if San Antonio were to take it, so you still do have that.
You have access
flexibility.
to it still. Okay.
Yeah, I think that
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a pick swap doesn't really mess you up too much with the step-in rules. Gotcha. And I've always gotten the impression also that they think they could get rid of these protections with Atlanta when they want to, and gotten some sort of mixed stuff on that. But if you really needed to figure out how to get that done, you could get it done.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we've kind of been waiting for, is if the Kings do get desperate enough to where they feel the need to make a move with one of those picks, could they get it done? Because you have, I have both heard that they aren't really concerned about that being an issue, that they believe they can get that done pretty easily. And I will say, just for what it's worth, not saying this is 100% how it would happen, but Wes Wilcox did come from the Atlanta Hawks front office, and there is a good chance that he still does have some friends over there. Not saying that Atlanta would just do the deal because they're buddy, but definitely helps you kind of get things done a little bit easier. Obviously, you have a personal relationship with those guys, and I would guess that would lead the Kings to have a bit of confidence when it comes to dealing with those protections. But yeah, definitely doesn't seem like the Kings should be willing to just willy-nilly move on from those 2 first-round picks if they do want a Cam Johnson or a Kyle Kuzma. To me, and I think Brendan also agrees and kind of listed it there, maybe just be a little bit more conservative and wait it out for somebody who makes a ton of sense. And I just don't know if these guys are necessarily the perfect fits, or if they're just the guys that just so happen to be available right now. So
yeah,
we don't really know where this is going.
Yeah, definitely sounds like more of the latter. I mean, I think that these are the common names, and often it's the guy that you were never talking about. Nobody was talking about DeMar DeRozan.
Not a single person.
And now you're sitting here with a shirt where he's in a Sacramento jersey. So, I think that never just assume it's only the guys that are being talked about. There's always plenty of other things that could come up. You never know when Detroit's going to start to get desperate or what's going on in Charlotte. Is Grant Williams a guy that could be interesting? And obviously I think falls in the same conversation as Cam Johnson, not somebody that's taking you to the next level.
Right.
But if you're just talking about you need some depth piece, what would that cost you?
2 first-round picks, I'll tell you that right now.
So if there's always a lot of different directions that these teams can go in. And so I think that they will definitely have some options. The complication is who is willing to sell. Yeah. But that can change very quickly throughout the course of the season. All of a sudden you see an offer and you're like, we didn't think we were going to trade this guy, but we should probably take this deal.
let's not forget that Kevin Huerter's still on this team too. And that is a name that I think everybody would have thought would have been moved by now, and still doesn't make a whole lot of sense with that guard, specifically shooting guard logjam with Huerter, Ellis, and Malik Monk. That definitely still exists. So who knows? That could be a name that the Kings will shop maybe when everybody else is a little bit more willing to play ball as well. Coming up next, me and Brendan do something pretty fun, and it might take us a little bit of time, but we're going to draft our favorite NBA under 21 team. We are building a team, and we will be drafting back and forth our favorite players, and the team. Really, we're trying to build the best possible team of players 21 and under to win a championship in the next 5 years. Should be a fun exercise. We're going to do it next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town.
What was I thinking? I'm getting drunk all over.
Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Farmerly, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino in Elk Grove. Enjoy over 80 table games, more than 2,100 slot machines, and our thrilling high-limit room with Sky River rewards that add up and up, and 18 elevated restaurants and bars. There's something for everyone. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
All right. Too many men to try and pick from this under 20. Well, let's not do that. let's relax.
Hey, you did it. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't put we in here. All right. You got some options.
Wait
so
for this week to be over. I cannot freaking wait for this week to be completed as me and Brendan are going to do now I'm afraid to say words to do the all under 21 draft when it comes to the NBA. Thank you. I prefer this music. And I did hear that they did a remake to this as well. It's going to be a little bit more electric guitar.
I was going to say, is it Quavo? Yeah.
No thanks. Brendan and I are going to draft a team of maybe we'll do 6. We'll see how long it's going to take. But we at least want to get a starting 5 of our all under 21 draft. They did it over at theathletic.com. We figured it would be a fun exercise to do. Can me and Brendan come up with a starting 5 at least? Like I said, we might do 6. They did 8 in this exercise. We'll see if we can get through 8 rounds and see if we can build a team that we think thank you, as Brandon brings out the pen and paper, that we think can win an NBA title in the next 5 years. Maybe we'll have Nate decide. Maybe we can put it to a poll on the YouTube. Brendan, I have a random number generator popped up right here. Do you want 1 to 50 or 51 to 100?
Let's do 1 to 50.
Okay, I think mathematically that is the right decision. Let me turn this so there's no collusion conspiracies out here. We will generate. It is 86, which means I get the first pick in the draft.
And we'll snake draft this, yeah?
We'll snake yeah, why not?
I think we should.
Yeah, sure, we'll snake draft it.
Number one pick gets an advantage, if not.
No, that's true, right. Yeah, then I just automatically. And Nate, I should have prepared you with the little chime, like the ESPN chime, you know, the I think that's
does snake draft, if there's just two of you, does it matter? Right?
Yeah,
you're right. What would
it
be the other way of drafting?
Well, it can be 1, 2, 1, 2. Instead, it's going to be 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2.
Okay. So you'll go first. I'll get 2 in a row, and then you'll get 2, and we'll keep alternating that way.
So here it goes. Hopefully this works. The annual, well, it's the first annual. Brendan and Chris, under 21 NBA draft. And with the first pick of the under 21 draft, I mean, this is really a no-brainer as far as picks go. We're going Victor Wembanyama, the French freak, the alien. I mean, you know, he's some say, Kevin O'Connor, that he could potentially win MVP in his second season. So to me, nobody else brings the resume that one Victor Wembanyama brings. Easy pick.
Very easy pick. I had no illusions that man was going to fall to me.
We're also trying to build a team here.
Yes. Yeah, you're trying to
you can do whatever
win
you want
games.
with it. Go ahead. You can
not
pick
just
5
straight
centers,
talent. Oh, yeah. You know how I play my 2K teams.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is true. I should be aware.
I am going to take – this is the same thing that actually they ended up taking here. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to go Paolo Banchero.
Okay.
And
I think that's the
let's
right
see.
pick.
So you got Wemby going. Yep. I got Paolo. And then where do I want to go after that? I think it gets a little bit more questionable. For sure, I think that I'm going to go I have a couple guys in between, some younger wings, definitely what I'm looking at. I'm going to go Brandon Miller. So Brandon Miller and Paolo Banchero on my end while you got Wembanyama. Took your pick?
Kind of, but you're also forcing me.
Someone?
No, you're just kind of forcing me to make a decision on how I want to build this team, and I don't like you for it. I really don't like the position that I've now been in. If I could just verbalize it, I'm thinking Alperen Şengün, but then Şengün Wemby, it's not perfect. I think the next best young player might be Derek Lively. You know, I could go Kuminga here. Maybe Jabari Smith Jr. Potentially. I feel like I don't want to give you ideas.
Devin Carter.
I guess we're all looking at
Devin Carter or Colby Jones.
Devin Carter's 22, isn't he?
I think
he's past the threshold.
You might be right. I
believe he's past the threshold. So
I'll also tell you I will not be picking Devin Carter. Yeah, he is 22. Either. You are right. I think the only under 21 guy on the Kings is Colby Jones.
You know, I will say G.G. Jackson goes surprisingly high in this athletic mock draft. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go best player available. I'm going to go Alperen Şengün. We're just going to run big. We're going to have Wemby and Şengün, some physicality to Wemby's height. And hopefully they can figure it. Hey, I'm going to run Şengün at the 5 and I'm going to run Wemby at the 4. That's what we're doing.
Okay. Not going full France out
I don't feel
here.
great about it. Oh my gosh. And now I have to make another.
You got another one
too. This is not a good exercise for the most indecisive person in the world, which I am, and I will go, who do I believe in more between Jabari Smith Jr. and Jonathan Kuminga? I don't like this at all. I already have Wemby at the 4.
You can play your point.
Oh, my gosh. I guess, I'll go Kuminga because I think he's a little bit more positionally versatile. I'll go Jonathan Kuminga with my 3rd round pick. I really am not a fan of it, but you know what? I'm gonna bank on the talent, and we're gonna go.
Fair enough. I am absolutely taking Jabari Smith Jr., and I'm very glad that you did not leave me with Kuminga, because honestly, I do not think that I would have picked him right there.
Wow. Well, that's great. Love
You know,
that.
just figured I'd throw that in there.
Thanks.
So currently, I'm rolling with Paolo Banchero, Brandon Miller, Jabari Smith Jr., while you are sitting with Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Şengün, Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, we're going to need to
got
add some
one
bench
more pick
players in here because I'm not liking where this is going so far.
Yeah, you know, I think that, do I want to try and get my guard here? Do I even want a typical guard? All right, you talk through your thought process a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
You're
wanted
good.
to go with a bigger guard for sure. So I'm kind of between Amen Thompson here and kind of Josh Giddey, I think is part of this conversation as well for me. I like some size and positional versatility when it comes to these. I'm going to go Amen Thompson. Play my point guard there.
Okay. I'm still trying to figure out what Amen does. I saw Asur was he obviously got kind of comped as like an Andre Iguodala.
Yeah.
Defensively, I know Asur is a problem. Offensively, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly Amen is, and I think it's a little bit of a logjam there in Houston, so I don't know if we're going to find out that answer anytime soon.
A little like Russell Westbrook-ish offensively, you know, and obviously that's a high bar. I'm not saying MVP Russ.
I just
but-
want to say I'm looking at your team now, and you're doing it again. You're
What do you
building
mean?
your
Yeah.
2K.
Yeah,
freaks.
absolutely.
You have Paolo
Yeah.
Banchero, Jabari Smith Jr., you have Brandon Miller, and you have Amen Thompson.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you are running from 6'7" to about 6'11", with just no outside variable. Let's see here. As the music stops, we will go with a. You know, again, this is really tough. Wemby did kind of screw me in the team building. I can't lie, because some of the best names out there, Derek Lively Jr. Is a great role player. I can't throw him in there with Wemby and Şengün. Yeah, and now we're looking at a bunch of guards. G.G. Jackson went high in this draft. I don't like that at all. I think I'm going to go. I feel like I can wait on somebody. This is giving me, at least this is good preparation for my fantasy drafts.
No Amani Bates. Your boy.
Well, I was gonna sit on it until draft again. I can't wait for this week to be over. You know, we'll just go G.G. Jackson. Forget it. If the Athletic is high on him, I'll be high on him too. He's the youngest player I feel like still in the NBA. I'm pretty sure he's only 18 years old even still. I'll go G.G. Jackson. Who is 19 and turns 20 in December. He has played a ton of games for somebody his age, so I'll hope that youth pays off for me. And let's see here. I feel like I'm trying to build too much of a team when you're out here just trying to build the Monstars. So for that reason,
I don't blame you.
Wow, this draft that they have, we'll break down what the Athletic ended up picking, because they went in a very interesting order that I'm just not sure makes much sense in my eyes. I'll take a risk here, and this will be the first rookie that goes off the board. I'm going to take Stephon Castle. I'm going to take Stephon Castle. He's Wemby's teammate. I'm hoping that they can get some chemistry. You know, in FIFA, like when you have two teammates together, it helps your chemistry out a ton. So I'm going to hope that Stephon Castle helps my chemistry. So right now we have our starting five set. I have Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Şengün, Jonathan Kuminga, G.G. Jackson, and Stephon Castle. Brendan has Paolo Banchero, Brandon Miller, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, and then Brendan, go ahead and round out your starting five with your final pick of your starting five.
Yeah, you're making me worry. I don't have enough size here. I know, kind of ironically, because I just have a lot of guys with okay size, but not really a center. And I'm dealing with Wemby and Şengün here, assuming that we're kind of going head-to-head in this matchup.
Well, actually, I don't.
No, I mean, I'm not 100% sure right now. I have a couple options in my mind, just being transparent. I do kind of like Derek Lively.
Okay.
I kind of like Jalen Duren a lot.
Okay.
I think he's really young, but maybe I'm just going to play small ball on you here.
Yeah, just go Jeremy Sohan.
No, I do need a point guard, but I have enough defense that I feel like I can mix in a little bit more playmaking. That's always my issue when I make these teams. So we were talking about him. I'm going to take Brandon Podziemski.
Okay. gross. Very gross. Brandon Podziemski goes for Brandon's team over here.
Yeah.
You got Paolo Banchero. You got Brandon Miller. You got Jabari Smith Jr. You got Amen Thompson. And do you hear his theme music? One Brandon Podziemski. Again, Paolo Banchero, Brandon Miller, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, and Brandon Podziemski. Double Brandons for Brendan.
Oh, true.
And I am going with Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Şengün, Jonathan Kuminga, Gigi Jackson, Stephon Castle. We're going to pick – we'll get at least 2 bench players that we can add to our list, and we'll react and let you guys know how the Athletic shook their draft out, and it's pretty different than how me and Brendan just did ours. So you will hear the conclusion of that coming up next right here. Stiles and Watkins, final hour right here on Sacktown Sports.
Drop top, raindrop.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
All right, get ready for an incredible lineup of live music and events with the Sacktown Sports live events calendar. Jason Mraz is at Thunder Valley on August 9th, and don't miss the Truckee Music Festival on August 9th and 10th, featuring Kip Moore and Sublime. Then rock out with the Mick Adams Stones Tribute on August 15th at Thunder Valley. And get ready for Michael Franti at the Backyard in Sacramento on August 23rd. It's Soul Fest 24 live on August 24th at Thunder Valley. Plus, take a trip back in time with 80s Rewind at Thunder Valley on September 1st. Train and REO Speedwagon are at Toyota Amphitheater on September 6th and the Doobie Brothers at Toyota Amphitheater on September 10th. Then don't miss the Lodi Grape Festival September 12th through the 15th, featuring Joe Nichols and Smash Mouth. And you'll laugh out loud with George Lopez at Hard Rock Live Sacramento coming September 21st. Then it's Bad Religion at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on October 19th. The Sacktown Sports live events calendar is your ticket to the hottest live shows in town.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your flagship station for the Beam Team.
Should we light the beam? Light the beam, baby.
Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
All right. Final hour of the week for us here in the midday. Kyle Draper taking you all the way from 2 to 6. My goodness, on a Friday. Don't want to miss that. I'm sure Drake.
I'm sort of LeBron James, of the station. Trying to boost the rating.
Sorta.
The more I hear it, the less it makes sense. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we'll
that is
just leave that there.
Are we resuming a little bit of this under 21 draft?
Yeah, let's
21 and under.
21
I guess is what
under.
it should be more accurately called. And to recap what we got up to this point, you have your team sitting there with Victor Wembanyama, obviously first pick, Alperen Şengün, Jonathan Kuminga, Gigi Jackson, and Stephon Castle. While my team, currently 5, are Paolo Banchero, Brandon Miller, Jabari Smith Jr., Men Thompson, and Brandon Podziemski.
You get the next pick as I got the first pick of the draft. You get the first pick of the reserves, and also you were doubling up on that one.
I'd like to let you guys know, too,
Yes,
as
please.
the judge of this,
Yes.
I am leaning away right now. I have a way I'm feeling. So
Oh, okay.
I'll just let you guys know as the final sayer in all this.
Gotcha. So my 6-man's
Okay.
going to change everything
I don't
here.
know which way that is. I
Yeah.
don't have any feel for how Nate feels about any of it.
I'm feeling away.
Feeling
Feeling
away.
away.
Feeling away.
Let's see. Shocker, I want to go a bit of size here. And I think I'm going to... We're doing 1 or 2 more?
We'll do 2 more.
Okay. Maybe I don't want to share my thought process throughout
Maybe
this
not.
all
Maybe
too
not.
much.
I am going back to back with mine as well.
Okay. You already took Gigi Jackson,
I sure
actually.
did. I sure did.
Okay.
Yep.
I will go... Dude, this is tough, actually.
I will just, for the listening audience, list some of the names that we have not said but have been drafted by the Athletics under 21, which we will recap in more detail after we're done here. Derek Lively, the second, hasn't been taken. You have Cam Whitmore has not been taken. Scoot Henderson, Asur Thompson, Josh Giddey still on the board. Matas Buzelis, Jeremy Sohan, Jalen Duren, Kaysen Wallace, Shaden Sharp, Dyson Daniels, Reed Shepard, Zach Edey, Zachary Risache. All names that were taken in the Athletics version have not been taken yet in ours. They also did 3 people in their draft.
I need a traditional center for my bench, so I'm just going to go ahead and take Derek Lively.
Derek Lively the third, who definitely showed out last year in the playoffs. Probably without that playoff run, wouldn't have been considered. I would think
you're probably
in a
not
draft
wrong.
like this. So
a little Tyson Chandler.
Lively as Brendan's bench gets its first member in Derek Lively. I get the back-to-back selection, and I'm going to go back-to-back rookies here. I'm so glad that both of these two are on the board because I have high upside on one and I have freak nature with the other. I'm going Reed Shepard for the upside. I really like Reed Shepard's upside. I also really need guards. And then going with Zach Edey so I can run an Edey-Wemby lineup. Brendan, you're cooked. I don't care which way Nate's leaning. You're not scoring on Wemby and Zach Edey. Go ahead, do your worst. Who's your last pick?
Yeah, you're over here built like the French teams, and
hey, man.
No, don't know if we could play them both together. Especially you need defense lineups.
We'll find out.
Gosh, I was gonna go Reed Shepard for sure. Okay, last pick for me. I'm between. I want another guard here. I think I'm a big Kaysen Wallace guy.
Wallace is on
I
the
really
board.
like Kaysen Wallace. Josh Giddey,
both Thompson twins.
Still on the table. I thought about it. Maybe a little bit of chemistry there.
Big chemistry.
Even though I think on the court they actually are
literally twins.
Yeah. Well, twins. Yeah. And
no, they're like they do the same exact thing.
Yes.
It's pretty much the same play.
Little repetitive. Scoot Henderson feels like he could be quietly,
that's
part of this.
Buying low. That is absolutely
right.
buying that stock at its lowest price.
Right. No, I mean, I'm going to go.
Scoot's not a bad shot, I will say. That really does speak to how terrible of a rookie year he had, though.
I'm going to go Cason Wallace, though. I really like Cason Wallace. He absolutely is. I love the defense that he provides. Just a dog who does a little bit of everything.
Makes sense. I should have guessed, and I shouldn't have left them on the board for you. So there you go. There you have it. Me and Brendan did 7 picks on The Athletic. They did 8. You have my starting 5, and if you want to adjust your starting 5, feel free, Brendan. And I will, actually. I'm going to have my starting 5. I'm going to put Reed Shepherd at point guard. I'm going to put Stephon Castle at the 2. I'm going to go Kuminga at the 3, Wemby at the 4, Şengün at the 5, have Gigi Jackson and Zach Edey coming off my bench. And I feel good about it. Yeah, Zach Edey takes Şengün minutes, and I can have Gigi Jackson either take out Stephon Castle, we can go offensive-minded, or I can put Gigi for Reed Shepherd and just kind of swap out scores. I like it. I like my team.
Fair enough. So you said Wemby, Şengün, Kuminga is your 3, 4, 5,
yep, those
right?
are my 3, 4, 5.
A lot of size.
A lot of size. Let me tell you, Brendan, not a lot of spacing on my team. Not a lot of modern basketball.
It's a common issue when you try to build a team like this. Let me tell you, it's always my problem in 2K. Which I tried to overcorrect a little bit.
You definitely have spacing on your team.
I tried to correct a little bit with some of these later picks. I think I'm going to go Brandon Podziemski.
Okay.
At my 1.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to go Brandon Miller.
Okay.
Jabari Smith Jr.
My goodness.
Paulo Banchero. And we'll throw Derek Lively in there.
Yeah, you need
at the 5. I need a big.
Yeah. Okay.
With then that leaves Amen Thompson and Cason Wallace coming off the bench for me. Kind of surprised neither one of my bench guys is really a wing, but you get down to the little lesser names, I guess you would say at this point.
Yeah, I don't really know where you would have gone. If you would have gone that route. The players who were drafted in the Athletics draft, but not in Brendan and I, you have one Cam Whitmore, you have Scoot Henderson, you have Asur Thompson, Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, Jeremy Sohan, Jalen Duren, Shaden Sharp, Dyson Daniels, and Zachary Reese-Sachet all went in the Athletics version of the draft, did not go in Brendan and I's. Nate, you said you were leaning one way. Which way was that lean?
I'm leaning the way, and that way.
Feeling the way.
Feeling the way, all the way. What? It's Chris. It's Chris Watkins. I'm sorry, Brendan. I'm sorry. The Şengün Wemby combo coming out of the gate isn't fair. I think I'm not going to say the only one scoring. If these two teams are playing each other, the only one scoring on Brendan's team might be Paulo.
Yeah.
Right? Like against these dudes. I don't know. Pods might throw up some threes or something. But
Brandon Miller and Jabari Smith can get you some buckets.
That's true. That's true. But Wemby's arms go like 50 feet in the air.
You're not wrong.
I don't. That's just what's selling me.
If
I love
Wemby's
the
not
Şengün
there,
too.
does it change things? Like, does it make it significantly?
So
more
what?
even?
Wemby for Edey?
Yeah, I mean, let's just take Wemby out. Was the team with Wemby always going to win? Really is the question, I guess.
I won't say 100. I'd say 70% of the time.
Yeah.
75% of the time, maybe. But yeah, it's just such a dramatic change. But man, I love Şengün.
Yeah,
I love Şengün. I straight up didn't know he was 21. I thought he was a little bit older.
To be honest with you, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I don't think I put that together either. Alperen Şengün, 20. Well, he's technically 22. He just turned 22 July 25th.
Yeah, he's the Charmander in the evolution line.
3 weeks off of this.
You got Charmander
as
Şengün.
Yep.
You got Sabonis as Charmeleon, and
Yep.
then you got Jokic as Charizard.
100%.
So
yep, and I'm liking my team. Brendan could have prevented me from taking Şengün. I thought he was, but decided to go with Banchero and Brandon Miller.
Honestly, you kind of called my bluff. I thought that maybe I could get away with leaving it for a second.
I was afraid. Yeah, like I said, I was like, this
That
dude
would've
is
been dastardly.
really going to make me make this decision, and I just couldn't leave it on the board. For the Athletics 8-round mock draft for the under 21, it went Victor Wembanyama 1, Paolo Banchero, and then Alperen Şengün all go in the first round. Again, they had 3 people do this exercise, literally the same order. Well, you had Brandon Miller going.
You're right, yeah.
But yes, and Brandon Miller goes with the first pick in the second round. Derek Lively then goes, then Gigi Jackson. We mentioned that was a really surprising pick. They had Gigi Jackson as the 6th overall pick in this under 21 draft. I just haven't seen enough of it. I will say I was a bit surprised to go look at Gigi's numbers, but it should also be taken with a massive grain of salt because Memphis was terrible last year. He only played 48 games. He averaged 14 points, shot 42% from the field. There's something there, but to me, him going 6th in that draft is just way too high. He goes above Jabari Smith Jr., Jonathan Kuminga, and Amen Thompson, who all go in the next round. I would probably pick all of those guys above Gigi Jackson. In their 4th round, they go Cam Whitmore, Scoot Henderson, Asur Thompson. Then they go Stephon Castle, Giddey, Podziemski. I'm actually surprised. It feels like that group should have gone in the 4th, and then the 5th should have been Cam Whitmore, Scoot, and Asur Thompson. Interesting that these guys have Castle, Giddey, and Podziemski all below those guys. Matas Buzelis, Jeremy Sohan, Jalen Duren is the next round. Then you have Casey Wallace, Shaden Sharp, Dyson Daniels. And then in the final round, you have Reed Shepard, Zach Edey, and Zachary Reese-Sachet. So that is how the Athletic sees the top players under 21. Me and Brendan see it a completely different way. And I'm glad that Nate sees it my way. Coming up next, we're going to talk about something about DeMar DeRozan's game that I feel like isn't talked nearly enough about, something that I literally watched a 5-minute highlight reel on. I want to get Brendan's thoughts on what that move is for DeMar DeRozan and what it means for his career. Also going to get some quotes from George Kittle and Steph Curry. Steph on his amazing Olympic performance. George Kittle on the Brandon Aiyuk situation, which we haven't talked about in 2 hours, so we have to do our mandatory check-in. You're listening to Stiles and Watkins right here at Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They believe it's all about people and choices. Their goal is to find the car that fits your lifestyle. With their huge inventory of models, they've got the right car and, more importantly, at the right price every time. Experience for yourself why their customers drive away smiling. Discover the difference, because it's not just about the car, it's also about the people. Experience the Sacramento Dodge Jeep and Chrysler difference off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks, or you can find them online, SacSuperstore.com.
Learn to shrimp. In my bank account. All right. Stiles and Watkins. Brendan Nunez filling in for one Alan Stiles for the day. He's done great all week. Glad he could join me today in studio. And Brandon, I want to talk about something that didn't quite prepare you for, but it was something that came across. I didn't even come across my feed. I actually don't remember what sparked me thinking about this, but I went on just like a real deep dive on DeMar DeRozan pump fakes.
Okay.
And you and I have talked about it in the past, not only when he came to Sacramento, but we've honestly talked about it when the Kings have played the Chicago Bulls, because many teams out there have a do not bite clause, I guess you could say, for their teams when they go against DeMar DeRozan when it comes to his pump fake. That is how deathly his pump fake has been. Let me see if I can find which team it was that implemented. I believe it was a $100 fine. The Cleveland Cavaliers implement a $100 fine for biting on DeMar DeRozan pump fakes. Last year, this is written in 2018. So this has been a thing for pretty much DeMar DeRozan's entire career. The Brian Windhorst wrote a story about how Tristan Thompson said, "I'm not trying to give up that money. I just had a kid. I'm just trying to save up for their college tuition." Thompson joked. Thompson didn't bite on pump fakes that DeMar DeRozan tried to throw at him. The Cavs have a standing $100 fine for falling for DeRozan's trap, and Thompson didn't want to pay, again saying, "I'm not trying to give up that money. I just had a kid, so I'm trying to save up for that college tuition." That is how effective DeMar DeRozan's pump fake has been in the past. You see him against pretty much any team. It does not matter how many times they have played him. Teams bite for it all the time. Jakob Poeltl has had very, very nice words about DeMar DeRozan's pump fake and why it has been so effective. Brendan, just from the outside looking in, what do you think makes DeMar DeRozan's pump fake so lethal? And I mean, what really should we come to expect in terms of seeing it in action this season?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to see it. That is practically his signature.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the things he is most known for. I remember him being on JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man in the Three, before he became Lakers head coach, obviously. And JJ asked him essentially that, like, the pump fake just never really worked for me. And there's some guys, it just doesn't look convincing.
Yeah.
And there's others that get it to work. And there didn't seem to be like that much of an answer. One aspect that I do have come to mind is, like you've heard, it was an old Kobe Bryant clip where he's talking about how he's looking at the guy's feet while they're pump faking. Because if you are pump faking with the intention of driving after, specifically on catch and shoots, a lot of time one of your legs could go back at the same time.
Staggered.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Kind of giving yourself away. And I think that DeMar does a good job of not having tells like that. He might not know if he's going to pump fake until he's in the process of doing it. You know, I think it could be something that's kind of just feeling out rather than a pre-planned and meditated thing. So I think that it's just a lot of the nuances, and the fact that you're lethal from where you're doing that pump fake from in the first place is what makes it difficult. Because sure, there's a don't jump, obviously, but if you don't jump, it's a little hard to contest at times.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes hand in hand there, where both cases are really working in DeMar's favor because he's got so good at just getting people to bite with that pump fake. That clause is there, and people will still do it.
Yeah.
You just can't help it. It's a little instinctual.
And the crazy thing is, we're not even just talking about spot ups either. We're not talking about, DeMar DeRozan's great at, somebody kicks out to him in the corner. Like what we talk about with Trey Lyles almost, where, he pump fakes it, and for whatever reason, people continue. We're talking like in motion, very fluid turnarounds, and where it looks like drill work. Oh, okay. You could see him 1-2 turnaround jumper. Okay. He's just doing drill work. But DeMar manages to kind of segment it. And it's like, okay, I do the 2 steps, I do the turnaround. And like you said, I might not even know if I'm going to shoot it or not until I'm pretty much going into the motion. And like I said, Jakob Poeltl, former teammate of his in Toronto, I believe also might have spent some time with him somewhere else.
San Antonio.
San Antonio as well. Yes, I was like, I'm pretty sure they'd spent multiple years together. This is from 2023. Jakob Poeltl says, I think it's the timing of it. When asked about DeMar, what makes DeMar's pump fake so effective? The pump is the most effective when you get a defender out of position. First, because he feels like he needs to catch up with you, and then might oversell on a shot contest or something. And so that's how you get people. is when you make them feel like they need to catch up to you, and he does a great job with that, with changing up his rhythm, which is a fantastic point, not something I considered at all. Again, just making it feel like, okay, when exactly is he going to go up with this shot? Poeltl continues. Then it's also like he might pump fake you 2 or 3 times, and you need to stay down, and he'll still like kind of take a weird rhythm shot. Like that's probably not an easy shot for a lot of people, but for him, it's very effective. So like you might think you're taking him out of his rhythm because you made him pump fake 3 times, but he's still able to knock down that shot. That to me is not something I considered at all, but that really does speak to just the level of shot maker that this dude is. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that when you're able to get guys like, they're always talking about getting them on your hip, essentially putting them in jail is the term that they use. Yeah. And the defensive recovery from there is doing a rear view contest where you're behind the guy and you still kind of sneak your hand over. Derek White, a lead at it. Yep. I think Keon Ellis is really good at that as well.
Dwayne Wade is excellent at it.
For sure. Dwayne Wade and his feelings a little bit about Derek White potentially going for his block record
really?
as a guard. It was kind of funny in a good joking way. Sure. I thought Dwayne was great on the broadcast actually for the most part. Him and Noah Eagle, right? Thought it was a great broadcast. But I think that all makes sense with DeMar for sure. When you get somebody that's trying to recover and get that rear view contest, then they fly by. And then you see you bite on that first pump fake, then you're like, oh, well, he just got me. So now he's got to go for sure. Yeah. And then he doesn't. And he does some more footwork. And some guys, like you've probably seen this, even just playing growing up. Some guys will pump fake and they'll just jerk their head like crazy. Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Not moving the ball. The ball stays down.
Yeah, the ball just moves a little bit. Like I would bet just even the nuance of it. It could have been figured out by now. It would have.
Yes.
But his hand positioning, looking like he's actually going to shoot it, and not having tells that this is about to be a pump fake. But for sure, being able to create that advantage in the first place and play at your own unpredictable rhythm factors in. I do think the other aspect, though, from Sacramento's side here is that we're talking about them playing fast, playing in a 0.5 second offense, meaning making decisions in 0.5 seconds. Not to say that the pump fake's going to go away, but I think there's an aspect of like, I don't know if they want DeMar throwing up 3 pump fakes on a possession. Could kind of mess with their offensive flow like we've talked about. It'll have its moments, but I'm wondering if we'll see it less in Sacramento, even though I'm sure it will still exist.
Yeah, definitely. And if anything, maybe it'll make it more effective. You make it more selective and when you actually do bring it out, people might be more surprised by it. So yeah, definitely something to monitor, as it has been maybe his most elite weapon is DeMar DeRozan's pump fake. And like I said, you can literally go on YouTube right now and watch a 3-minute, 11-second video of DeMar DeRozan not only just pump fakes, but pump fakes before he makes the basket after as well, a lot of which are and one bucket. So you should expect not only to see a lot of pump fakes, but a lot of and ones from DeMar DeRozan this season. And we can cross our fingers that and one goes in, because we know that the Kings last year, it didn't matter who was at the free throw line. Malik Monk shot just under 90% his first Beam Team season. Last year, somewhere near 83% from the line. So hopefully DeMar DeRozan doesn't catch that, as he has been perennially over 85% from the free throw line. And definitely the pump fakes play a big, big factor in him getting to the line. Coming up next, we are going to read some of those quotes from George Kittle on the Aiyuk holdout. Also going to get some quotes from Steph Curry on his amazing Olympic performance, and going to give you a recap on how the rookies performed yesterday in the NFL for the first preseason action, and who you can expect to see this weekend as well. You're listening to Stiles and Watkins right here at Sacktown Sports.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com.
If you're looking for a new couch, you could cut down on expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive. Because you've had this couch for too long. Sure, you've had good times together, but a ripped up cushion is not a fond memory. It's a sign. Notice how other people have couches with 2 armrests? Now that's living, right? No, it's just normal. So bundle your renters and car insurance with Progressive and put the savings toward a new couch. Please, it's time. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Hey, everybody, it's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I can't speak enough about my new Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. I recently got back from a long trip. I was tired. My back was aching from being on the airplane. I was dragging. But once I hopped in my all-new electric SUV, all was good. The first thing I did was put on the seat massager. It really made a difference. I challenge you to check it out for yourself. Go visit my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton and tell them Drapes sent you. It's just a short drive down I-5 or online at mbfstockton.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
George Kittle, Jorge, if you will. Nobody does, but George Kittle had some quotes on Brandon Aiyuk and the hold-in and the idea that the 49ers championship window is closing. He had a very, an incredibly in-depth back and forth with Tim Kawakami. That's over on The Athletic, where Tim Kawakami spoke with one George Kittle about everything that's going on. And, just got his thoughts. George Kittle obviously is very personable and isn't afraid to, let his opinion be known. And I don't think he's really someone who's afraid of being taken out of context or anything like that. He just kind of says it as it is. And, I'm not the biggest fan of George Kittle in terms of his personality, but I will appreciate the fact that especially when asked about, real nitty gritty stuff, he does take it very seriously and give some really good answers. Here's what he had to say on just how, he views the Aiyuk situation and if he thinks it's coming to an end. Kittle said, quote, "I remember being told in 2021 that, quote, hey, if we don't win this year, the window is closed. And we've been to 3 NFC championship games since then. So the window hasn't closed. John and Kyle and Jed have done a great job about figuring out ways to, whatever metaphorical window, keep that open. Hopefully it pans out in the way that's best possible way for both Brandon and the Niners, and whatever happens, happens, because I have zero control over it and there's nothing I can do about it. For Brandon, it's just, I want what's best for him. If he wants a trade, I hope that he goes somewhere that's best for him. I have no bad blood for Brandon. I would definitely say that it would be a significant loss. Kittle said Aiyuk is a fantastic receiver who does everything you want him to do. He runs the route tree. He makes huge plays. He gives 100% in the run game. He leads by example. He brings awesome energy to work every single day. He's everything you want in a football player. So I love having him as a teammate. And I feel like the one thing that I am going to pull from that is, and I think it's a sentiment that a lot of his teammates share as well, I don't think they, in a nice way, I don't think they care what happens to Brandon Aiyuk at this point. I think that they just want the situation to be resolved. If he is going to be a Niner, I think a lot of people feel how George feels and says there's no bad blood. If he wants to come back to the team, he can come back to the team. Won't be a problem. People won't ask him about it. Everyone knows it's part of the business. If he wants to play for the Niners, he can play for the Niners. If he wants to go play for another team, go ahead. Again, when we play him, we'll dap him up. No hard feelings. We just want it to be over. I can't imagine. I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that these guys enjoy every single day of training camp being asked about this situation and having it be all anyone talks about. I guess in a way, maybe it's better than continually bringing up the Super Bowl, but I can't imagine that any of his teammates are enjoying how Brandon Aiyuk has handled or how the Brandon Aiyuk saga has played out. I won't say Brandon's specific part in it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that a lot of these guys are able to easily separate what's just the business aspect versus the it's not personal what Aiyuk is doing in this situation. It is funny to me. I believe that you read this out, but he says if he requests a trade, then I hope that he gets to go somewhere that's best for him. And then I have no bad blood with Brandon. And I don't know if George knows this. He has requested a trade.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the if here. And maybe he just got to be careful with what he says, obviously. But I think for the most part, you can separate it. We've seen years prior, whether it's Deebo Samuel, whether it's Nick Bosa, where this stuff gets resolved and then the year can go by fine, or there are some instances where obviously Bosa wasn't, took him time to get back into a rhythm, to get into ideal game shape with missing part of training camp. So it's not like it doesn't affect them at all, but I would imagine that a lot of these guys are pretty good at separating what's personal and what's business. And really this is just the business side on Aiyuk's part.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't imagine, again, like you said, I mean, the Niners have dealt with their fair share of contract holdouts throughout training camp. And so I'm sure that they know that this is honestly just par for the course. And they really aren't too concerned about Brandon Aiyuk. If he does come back, that it would be a locker room problem at all. I think they all understand that this is a business and that's all that this is. No matter how annoying it's been to deal with it, they've dealt with it before to different degrees. And I wouldn't think that there's any ill will or anything from a teammate perspective to worry about from the Niners front on things. Brendan, I do want to ask you about this. We're actually not going to get to Steph Curry specific quotes or Steve Kerr's quotes about Steph Curry because, let's be honest, I'm running the show and I don't have time to compliment Steph Curry all day. But nonetheless, from the same article that does list Steve Kerr and Steph Curry's comments on Steph's amazing Olympic performance, you pulled out actually this little nugget. I believe this is Sam Amick's article.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Sam Amick's article. And this is definitely more so of a media-centric question that I'm going to ask or pose to you as the quote is framed from a media coverage standpoint. Sam Amick writes in his most recent story for The Athletic, when you cover international tournaments such as the Olympics, there's a level of support from the non-American media for their respective teams that is, to be honest, quite off-putting, Sam Amick writes. Some reporters cheer on press row, which is considered a no-no in the United States, and others even shout disparaging things at American players. I don't know, let's just pick one, like a Joel Embiid maybe, who has been catching tons of flack this entire thing. And Sam writes, in quotes, true story. So, Brendan, just hearing this, first off, I guess we can maybe peel the curtain back a little bit. This is an American no-no. I honestly don't think I knew specifically it was a U.S. specific. I would also imagine probably like in the U.K. when it comes to soccer coverage.
Right.
I would guess you probably shouldn't be super leaning on either side of the clubs. But Sam is definitely framing it, and I know Sam obviously mainly covers basketball, so he's probably speaking of it from a basketball specific standpoint. But just what are your thoughts in general on that? I mean, we've been in different press circumstances. We've been in summer league. I've been to presses for Sac Republic games, for River Cats games. I know you've been to a couple of River Cats games as well, Kings games, and the list goes on and on, summer league and things like that. There's so many questions. Have you dealt with this before? And then what are your thoughts in general on that kind of being a thing that you are supposed to keep this journalistic integrity and not root actively for teams in the press box?
Yeah, I'll just say transparently, I think this was one of those things that was kind of a learning process for me, I guess you would say. Not that I was sitting there cheering like crazy, but I think the extent of how serious that is taken, specifically at Kings games, at U.S. basketball games, is very real. And it is, like you mentioned, it's that journalistic integrity. I mean, you can tell that, Sam didn't seem the most comfortable with it in his article here. He says, to be honest, quite off-putting. And now, we'll sit next to each other at games.
Yes.
If a poster happens, we're sticking our hands out.
Yeah, we hold me back.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's just reacting to a play,
we are
moment.
At a basketball game also.
It's very hard not to, to be honest.
What are we talking about?
We're here because we love the sport.
Exactly.
And so when you see a crazy highlight, I'm going to react. But it's not cheering.
I don't think they have a problem with me saying, like, the Sam Amick's, the Sean Cunninghams of the world, they have those moments. Now, it's not nearly as frequent as you and I, but if somebody gets posterized, it's not like they're going to stand there stoic. Sometimes they will share glances. And so it's not like it's, a church up there or anything like that. But yes, anyways.
There's a difference between just like widening your eyes, doing a little like 100%. Holding back,
looking
the
around
guy next to you.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, did everybody just see that?
Yes.
Compared to like, oh my gosh, this is so good for the Kings,
Right.
So I think
like,
what
are you doing guarding him or taking that shot?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. Loudly being like, what is going on here? Why is Mike Brown doing this? I can't stand it. He always does this. Like, that is being a fan. And you're supposed to leave that at the door when it comes to media here. So I am sure that was not well liked around the others, probably specific U.S. reporters. And the craziest aspect is Sam's at the end of the quote says, others even shout disparaging things at American players like Joel Embiid. I mean, true story, he says. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's just like,
there's no nuance.
Even a fan should not really be doing it that much, And, I think people have strong opinions about Joel Embiid choosing to play for the U.S. So I can't help but wonder, is it a Cameroon guy, that has some strong feelings?
Or French reporters.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't even have to be sports reporters, right? Especially at something like the Olympics.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it is definitely one of those things that you are obviously not supposed to be doing. Got to maintain your journalistic integrity and a lack of bias in any sort of this stuff. But it's not like we won't have a little bit of reactions, just like everybody would. Like we mentioned, we love basketball. We're going to have reactions to awesome plays. But cheering, definitely a big no-no.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get Nate's thoughts on this too. Both of you guys, let's just act like, whatever. Somehow we can still get a credential, but maybe we're not here with Sacktown Sports. Do you guys think that it is kind of like Nate? I mean, specifically when it comes to the Niners, like especially coming from covering the Kings, I laugh when I see the Niners press box because you got guys in 3-piece suits. You got guys who got, like 4K cameras on their backs and they're, just covering an Instagram page or something like that. Does it not feel like we are covering sports? You're at a football game. Brendan, you're at a basketball game.
Right.
I mean, again, we cannot curse out the players or anything like that, but do you guys feel like, and I'm not trying to lean you in any direction, so apologies if my tone leans in a certain way, but does it not feel like maybe we're a little bit too serious as a media collective when it comes to covering sports specifically? Nate, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I think sometimes it gets to the point too where it can be a little slimy as well. Like, honestly, sometimes it feels like maybe people are trying to be friends with players and stuff, but
that's
there's
a whole nother can of
there's
worms,
like
honestly.
alternative motives too behind there to get the scoop, and so you have to like toe that line. I'm not trying to get kicked out before I'm even in the club either, but there's some stuff you see, I guess, just being in there, no names or nothing, but yeah, it is a little serious. The NFL's definitely different though than
it's definitely different. And that's
we had
also
this conversation.
Yeah.
We had this conversation with Ben Ross, right? Yeah. It definitely feels at the Niners in the press box, and I don't think you've been as media.
I have not. No, not in the Niners press box.
I think you should do it.
I want to go this year.
I really think you should do it
once.
once.
We should.
Yeah. Little Sacktown Sports crew.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure they'll love that. I'm sure
we'll
the
go to
Niners
like
will
the
love
Patriots game.
requests.
We'll go to the worst. We'll go to the worst
actually,
one.
that's not a bad idea.
Regardless, I will say the NFL feels more suit and tie.
Yeah.
And I think
sometimes quite literally.
That's because the money's there. That's because it's more important. because it's so condensed.
Yeah.
With the Kings, it is
41 home games. I get how maybe
it's more late, and then baseball. I haven't covered a baseball game besides River Cats, but River Cats is different. Super casual, it is a little silly, but then you see how much money's going, like people are getting paid,
right?
And it's like treat yourself professional, or treat yourself as a professional, treat others as a professional.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm being a centrist. I'm being a fence sitter. For me, watching that playoff game, watching the Niners dude, I'm going to have a heart attack in there. I can't scream. I can't do anything. I can barely watch the game. It's honestly horrible. I can't.
Someone like Nate.
I don't love doing it.
Yeah. Not a game with stakes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard for me. I like a more relaxed ambiance.
Brendan?
Yeah, I think I've gotten to the point where I'm just like really used to it. I still think that it's important to recognize the emotion in the stadium and the emotion that comes with the moment in order to better express it later, to know how to just the best way to cover it and ask questions about guys later. Like, you need to recognize the moment that's going on and the potential emotion that comes with that on the floor from the fan base as well. So I definitely understand why when it comes down to it, this is our jobs and you're not supposed to have any level of bias. It happens sometimes, though. Like, there's an issue sometimes of, if you look at what guys are getting voted all NBA or all defense, the local guys will tend to, not saying Sacramento specifically, but I think this is a league-wide problem. That, you have to deal with these guys and your votes become public, and they could look at you a type of way if you don't vote for them, and then now you're messing with their pockets.
No, we can directly speak to it. I mean, Sam Amick went public with it on the Carmichael Dave show once. He did publicly state that I almost called him Cliff Paul. Rich Paul.
State Farm is on the
Rich
mind
Paul
today.
did come to him and say, hey, whether it was a joking manner, lighthearted or whatever, he did say, hey, my guy De'Aaron Fox, he's coming up for, I can't remember if it was clutch or whatever, all defense.
Yeah.
You got our guy.
All NBA.
And it's on Sam Amick, who has a ton of journalistic integrity. Thankfully, he's not somebody who's afraid of losing that connection potentially with Rich Paul. Didn't vote for De'Aaron Fox and publicly stated, I did not vote for De'Aaron Fox. But to your point, that kind of stuff happens all the time. And you do have to kind of hold your own journalistic integrity and not try and be just a homer for your home team. And definitely that's why, as we gave respect to Anthony Slater earlier, you need reporters like Anthony Slaters of the world, like the Sam Amicks of the world, to hold on to that journalistic integrity as much as guys like us three probably want. And there is definitely, and we don't have time for it today. We might not ever have time for it, especially even in a 4-hour show, but old media versus new media is a very, very real thing that is going on in front of our faces. And, I do think that there is definitely a place for everything Brendan laid out where it is a little bit more relaxed. You are experiencing the emotions of the game, but still holding on to the journalistic integrity of the past, where, yes, you are still there. Like Nate said, you still are a professional. You want to carry yourself like a professional, and you want to look like a professional as well. I don't necessarily like to look like a professional.
I will say I think I broke the rules after the Niners-Packers game.
I don't want to go public with it.
I've gone public with it.
Out yourself again.
I was in the locker room after the game.
Yes,
like an hour and a half. All I did, Brock Purdy's alone. I just went up to him, knuckles out. Hell of a game, man. He just went, "Oh, thanks, dude."
I think
that's
is
that fine? Yeah,
that's totally fine.
That's just being. I felt like I was just trying to be respectful, and like I did feel like he just had the craziest game of his entire career. So he's probably coming down from that. I was like, this is a wild moment. It was a little selfish maybe of me, but I just want to give
area for sure.
Congrats, tell my friends and family I did that.
I think that's literally dancing the line perfectly. Like, that's clearly something that only a fan would do, but it's not you saying, "Oh my God, Brock, I love thank you so much.
Thanks for
winning it for me, bro.
That was the greatest game of my life. Thank you so much. Anything you want." Like, you did it as respectfully. You kept it pushing. You acknowledged it. Like you said, you still have the story to tell for the rest of your life, but
there's no bias in it.
Yeah,
like it's just saying, hey, you had a good game. You could be a fan of the other team.
There's bias
even.
Definitely.
Well, yeah.
Don't tell any older. If you tell
I told
any
Drapes he freaked out on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you tell any older media person, they will definitely say that was not cool. I'm telling you right now, Nate, that's fine.
Okay.
That is totally
You
fine.
also can't tell me Drapes hasn't gone up to De'Aaron Fox after a game and said, nice game. Right?
For sure. I mean, I would guess.
That's all I'm
guess.
saying.
I'm not going to speak for Draper, but I would guess. I mean, I don't think it's weird to tell somebody that they
He
had
just
a good
called
game.
me out, so that's all I wanted to.
No, I don't blame you.
To get that out there.
This is not
That's the
gonna touch
LeBron
that.
James.
Kyle
of the
Draper is
station.
going to be sitting in this seat in about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
here.
right.
You can tune in to the Drive Guys and hear his thoughts on what Nate just had to say, because I'm not touching that one. Coming up next, we close things out with shout-outs and closeouts. Who are we excited to see this weekend in the NFL preseason? We give you the recap on last night's action and preview what we got coming up. And then, yes, we end the show with shout-outs and closeouts. Coming up right here, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of those spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your fourth line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, during Naturewood Home Furnishings Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Almeida Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT Turbo Max. In stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from. Labor Day savings on now at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details. That is 324.
Live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
I want to make sure I answer this question before we get out of here. Got about 6 or 7 more minutes left on the program. Kyle Draper is going to take you all the way up till 6 p.m. today on the Drive Guys from 2 to 6. Maple Noob asks me, why don't you like Kittle's personality? Everything I've seen or read about the dude, he seems like a good dude. He does. He seems like a great dude. No problem with him in terms of he seems like a perfectly fine person in general. Wouldn't have anything bad to say about his character. I just think he's corny. That's really all it is. I just think that he's very, very corny.
That's one of your favorite words.
Yeah.
You have a handful of people that qualify into that for you.
Maybe there's a handful of people out there that are really corny.
You're not wrong.
And I just like to call them out, and everybody's afraid to, for some reason, corny's a bad word. Nobody likes to just admit when somebody's being illegitimate and doesn't seem like it's actually funny.
Are you guys? Oh man, what is the candy corn guys? Are you guys candy corn guys?
I am actually. I don't know why this is coming from, but I am. I'm aware it kind of tastes like plastic, but I'll eat it.
Okay, all right. Just seeing if that kind of correlates there, Chris, with your corny. Yeah, just Anyway, shout outs, closeouts.
Am I missing something here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Dude, I'm trying. I'm trying to get Chris out of here.
I don't care what anybody says. I love you, man.
Thanks,
I don't care what the other people say, man. You're great.
They say
what the other
things,
people say.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite backhanded compliments.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say. You're pretty cool. You're
pretty cool, bud.
You're actually pretty cool.
Don't listen to them.
Pretty cool too.
Yeah, bud.
That's the trifecta. Tom Pelissero, because, of course, we started this entire week with Brandon Aiyuk. We do have to end. Tom Pelissero is putting where this thing is at currently. This is tweeted out 10 minutes ago and then 2 minutes ago. So this is as up-to-date as you can get. The San Francisco 49ers have made a renewed effort in recent days to strike a long-term deal with receiver Brandon Aiyuk. Sources tell Tom Pelissero and Mike Garafolo. What a mouthful of last names those are. The situation is fluid, and other teams, including Pittsburgh, are still in the mix, but a return to San Francisco appears increasingly possible. So here's where it stands at the moment, Pelissero puts. After months of speculation, sporadic negotiations, and recent trade talks, the San Francisco 49ers are pushing to get a deal done that keeps Brandon Aiyuk in San Francisco for the long term. Nothing done, but finally things are moving.
This means nothing.
We'll talk on Monday, guys. We'll talk on Monday. I cannot do this. I cannot continue to just keep these updates. Whatever happens. I don't care.
The one thing I'll say on it is that just try to look at, and not speaking to you, but to the listeners, of what side this could be coming from. Because it kind of sounds like this is the Niners saying they might be willing to pay a little bit more, which would be a new development, but that's just attempting to read between the lines of where is this reporting coming from.
Definitely. No, absolutely. And like you said, it could just be the Niners extending that olive branch and saying, Brandon, we are okay, and also kind of letting it be known publicly, we are willing to play ball. Yeah. It's not that we have excommunicated this guy and we want him out. We were just trying to do what he wanted. But again, nobody could figure out what he wants. I'm done. NFL rookie report. My goodness. Drake May, who Brendan outed me that, I wasn't huge on J.J. McCarthy at our pre-draft. I wanted Drake May. He kind of struggled in his first action last night as the Patriots took on the Lions. He played 7 snaps, 3 runs, 3 passes, 1 false start. 2 passes were screens. First was a 13-yarder to Antonio Gibson. Second was a 3rd and 12. May finished 2 of 3 for 19 yards. Nothing to write home about there. Malik Neighbors played 12 snaps for the Giants yesterday. I'm sorry, the Giants played the Lions yesterday. I believe the Patriots played the Panthers. Mostly with the second-team offense, Malik Neighbors he ran 8 routes and wasn't targeted by backup Drew Lock, despite being open multiple times. I don't think he's going to get seen by homeboy Daniel Jones anytime soon either. Hendon Hooker, who was a big name coming out of last NFL draft, not this previous one. He went 5 for 9, 36 passing yards, 34 rushing yards. He had a 16-yard gain where he lowered his shoulder and absolutely trucked a cornerback. Good to see Hendon Hooker back on the field. Today, you have Michael Penix making his debut for the Atlanta Falcons. They go against the Miami Dolphins. Tomorrow, you get the full slate. You get Jaden Daniels taking on the Jets. You get Caleb Williams taking on the Bills. You get my guy, J.J. McCarthy, going against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's going to be at 1 p.m. I'm sure you can find it on your local listings. Ricky Pearsall and the 49ers take on the Tennessee Titans. That's going to be at 4 o'clock. Again, tomorrow on Saturday, you can catch the Raiders and the Niners as well in preseason action. Nate, do you happen to know if we're running that for the station this weekend? Are we running Niners?
I'm almost positive.
I'm almost positive as well. Okay, so you can definitely hear that, almost positively hear that right here on Sacktown Sports 1140. Sunday, you have Bo Nix at the Colts, and everybody's favorite former Niner quarterback, Trey Lance, in action on Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams. Moving on to shout-outs and closeouts. As it has been a week, I will shout out my guy, Brendan Nunes, who's been joining me pretty much every day with the exception of Tuesday with Ben Ross. Shout out Ben Ross, who covered the A's and White Sox. Didn't get to see history with the White Sox losing what would have been 23 in a row. Shout out Ben. He was great. Brendan, you've been awesome as well. Has had to deal with being remote, has had to deal with some flight issues last night. So definitely appreciate you coming in and joining me for the week. Brendan, you got any shout-outs or closeouts?
Yeah, definitely got to shout out you and Nate. I appreciate you guys having me here, and goes hand in hand. We're going to shout out Frankie Cardicelli and Emil Fergroso. You know, with me doing this,
good point.
They have had a little bit more on their plate, you know, like even this Aiyuk stuff going on right now that they are helping out with. And like I said, carrying a little bit of a larger load with myself being able to do this show with you two great gentlemen. So,
Nate, you got anything?
Shout out my mom.
Why not? Shout out Nate's mom. And yes, as Brendan shouts out our wonderful writers over at sacktownsports.com. Go read all the wonderful articles over the weekend over at sacktownsports.com. You can find anything that has to do with Northern California sports over there. Fantastic website. Brendan will be back in action on the website next week. Everything should be back into place. I believe you get the normals. You get Carmichael Dave, who arrived last night. Go follow his Twitter page to go see his crazy travel chronicles. Jason Ross, I believe, will also be back on Monday. You got Stiles and Watkins back in the midday slot, and you got Drapes and Whitey holding it down for the drive guys. You can hear Kyle Draper by himself holding it down solo style on a Friday. Coming up next right here, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento